Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another exciting episode of Frail Conversations. And today, as you've seen from the title, I'm going to be talking about three studies. Now, I know I'm late. I know I'm late as hell. Like I've been, there's a mean transition that I'm experiencing and I'm going through right now. That's like I can't really explain it, but it's like rebirth type shit, and like things have just been moving, and it's all positive. Don't get me wrong. It's like, but I'm adjusting to this new energy. Like I'm in a mean ass fucking flow, social media wise, branding, advertising, all of that shit, and I just I've evolved, and so I'm adjusting to this evolution. So sometimes my mind is like lately my mind just hasn't been where it needed to be. So that's why y'all didn't get so frail conversations when y'all was supposed to get them, right? But season 13, I had to get back in rhythm and shit, and we're gonna get back into it. But in some way, it's gonna tie. It's gonna tie into what I into this episode a little bit. But the three studies. I was I have a previous episode. I don't quite remember exactly what the name of the episode is, or even if it was an episode, it could have just very well been a reference in the episode and shit. But what ended up happening was what I was talking about was that there's in that previous episode and tying into this, I was saying like men, we're responsible for three bloodlines, right? And the three bloodlines that we're responsible for are the one that we come from. You feel me? The one that we must go into, and then the one we must create, right? So the one that we come from is the one that the one that we come from is the one created between our mother and our father. You feel what I'm saying? The one that we create is the one that is connected to, our significant other, spouse, or whatever the case may be. And then, I mean, the one that we go into is the one that we connect with our significant other, spouses, however you motherfuckers calling the shit. And then the final bloodline is the one that we create, right? And it parallels to, I had seen this post and it just sparked it and made it all connect. So on the post, it was like, it was along the lines of the first generation studies war and diplomacy, right? The second generation studies trade and commerce, right? And then the third generation studies art and music. So if from what I see, it was a quote by John Adams or whatever, and the actual quote he said was, "I study war and diplomacy so that my son may study trade and commerce, that his son may study art and music." And that reality is something that it definitely ties into everything that I've been going through these last couple of times. But everything in that reality is a truth, right? As men, when we look at women, and women, we say, well, women, they'll tell you, well, women, she nearly dies giving birth. She nearly dies giving birth. But if a man is doing exactly what he was supposed to do as a man, catering to three bloodlines, he has the possibility to die. He has the possibility to die trying to produce life, right? Women give birth, but the men produce the life in relation to what we're going to be talking about today. You feel what I'm saying? And it's almost like it goes into like 50's mantra of get rich or die trying and shit like that. But it's little nuances that you have to do all three of these things as a man before. Well, at least two of these things before you can get to the third one. So you have to study war and commerce, right? You have to be a warrior. You have to study trade and war and diplomacy. You have to study trade and commerce, and then you have to study art. Like, you feel me? We get into a space where when we have to break cycles, a lot of people don't realize what it is to break a cycle. And a lot of it is also why poverty is so heavy, because to break a cycle means that what you're doing is, first you got to understand the cycle that has been initiated. As men, we keep coming into the cycles where we have to keep fighting the war. You feel me? We have to keep fighting the war and keep going through the war and needing the diplomacy. But they made us not need war. They made us not desire war. They fucked with our testosterone. They fucked with so much of us that we don't have that warrior spirit anymore. So if you don't have the warrior spirit, you're not acknowledging the first stage of the bloodline that you're purifying. You feel me? Where you learn the war and diplomacy. And the diplomacy and shit comes into where you have motherfuckers was like, I talk about all the time. I'm violent because I know that violence is the response to danger. I'm not irrationally violent. I'm disciplined with my violence because I know that this comes with the danger, but that goes into I study war and diplomacy. You feel me? I'll get with the shits if you with the shits. You feel me? I was just making a post about it, about I get demonic with demonic shit. I'll get angelic with angelic shit. You feel what I'm saying? It's like I understand the war and I understand the diplomacy, but I will never get angelic with demonic shit. Equally, I will never get demonic with angelic shit. But that comes from phases of war and diplomacy. So when I'm looking at that, and then we go to the next stage of, trade and commerce. You have to, after you learn war, the diplomacy leads to you be able to barter, trade, and actually collaborate. You feel me? We don't even get to that point. We wonder why we stay in poverty because we can't even get out of the war. You feel me? Because we don't know the mechanics of the war, which means that the longevity and the quote unquote, as the religious texts say, be fruitful and multiply never happens, because to be fruitful and multiply, that's where you get the art. You feel me? That's where you get the true art of the creation of, and have the freedom to do art, freedom to do music, freedom to do these things. But it's dependent upon the man deciding that if I'm going to be a man, I need to be responsible for 3 bloodlines. But in addition to that, I need to be responsible for the 3 studies. You feel me? But before we dive heavy into that, be sure to follow me on Instagram at SeenTheGriot. Be sure to check out my website at IamJustSeen.com to get all things that are just seen. To all those who tip, donate, and sponsor to the podcast, you are greatly appreciated. To all those who would like to tip, donate, and sponsor to the podcast, you can do so by clicking the link in the description of the podcast. Not the episode, but the podcast itself. And as always, Cash App and PayPal are just fine. And you know the vibes. That's that for this and that's this for that. When we come back, and we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to dive into So Frail Conversations, the 3 studies. And don't forget to visit IamJustSeen.com. There, you can get all things Just Seen. You want to add the So Frail series to your library? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to learn how to master the markets for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You ever want to just chat with Seen about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at IamJustSeen.com. So take a quick peek into my world to see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it, and you will never see it unless you visit IamJustSeen.com. All right. Welcome back. Ow. Yeah, without further ado, we're going to dive heavy into this motherfucker. Now, tying it into what I was saying is like, where my mind has been all over the place or whatever and shit, like, and being in a space where I'm no longer exhibiting an energy because I have evolved. It ties into this episode in a multitude of ways. My original start with entrepreneurship, and it's not only like I got to use entrepreneurship because this is the final phase that I'm on, but deeper than that, it was my original position with this was freedom, breaking cycles, healing, fixing generational curses, all of that good shit, right? But the truest reality of it was that when it came to the core, it was like, okay, I want to make sure that my great granddaughter is good. I talk about it all the time. I use it in, old episodes or whatever the case may be. I always say, all of this was for my great granddaughter. It was to make sure my great granddaughter is good. It's to make sure that when she comes into this world, whoever she may be, that I have done everything that I needed to do to secure the reality that she can sustain. So tying it into the 3 studies or whatever the case may be, if I'm studying the war and the diplomacy, right, then that means my sons will be able to do the trade and commerce, right, which means my grandsons will be able to do the art and music. So what does that leave for my great granddaughter? Freedom. You feel me? If I position it right and I pass down the skills and the gems and all of the shit right, it'll go the way it is. Unfortunately, because I ain't gonna say unfortunately, because I gotta say fortunately, because I live in a space now, I exist in a space now where if you read So Frail 3, where I talk about like, it just gets to a point of onus. Like I can't blame something without giving it credit because it was a catalyst at the end of the day. Like when you look at the things and you say, I blame this for this, but did you glow up? Like when women say, like I gotta use women in this example because it's so simple and so easy to use. When women glow up after the breakup, and then she goes to the gym after the nigga called her fat while they was in a relationship and shit. Don't get me wrong, it's fucked up to, call your significant other fat, but to, try to put that on her. She's like, you didn't accept me as I was, and then y'all break up, and then you get back in the gym out of spite and shit, and all of a sudden she glowed up and shit, and it's like, why didn't you just do that in a relationship? You had to wait until afterwards to do that shit. You feel me? So now she can't say, you can't give him credit. You can't place blame on him for breaking you without giving him credit for that same break, that same catalyst of breaking you, building you. And so this is why I was saying I can't really say, unfortunately, that I had to go through this, because it's like, it's also fortunately, because it's like I can't just fault my predecessors and say y'all didn't do shit without giving them credit to say, because y'all didn't do shit, I was able to do everything I needed to do. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like I don't even put the onus on the shit, and that's what I was talking about with Soul 3. I learned to not put magnitudes to onus, because it's all a catalyst at the end of the day. So as I'm looking at, the position that I'm in, I'm like, all right, if I go through the war, like I said, my sons will be able to go through the trade and the commerce, right? And then my grandsons will be able to go through the art and the music, to give my granddaughter peace, to give my granddaughter love, to give my granddaughter knowledge, to give my granddaughter freedom, to give my great-granddaughter palakafe. You feel what I'm saying? There's been this running theme that has been there for a long time. And the reason why I said it's finally all finished and connected, because if you actually see my I gotta stop saying new page, because it ain't new no more. It's in motion. The other one is dead and gone. So the Sing the Griot page is fully palakafe now. And it's automated to where it's like, okay, palakafe, you hear it, you see it, you have everything in motion. It's like I'm constantly reaffirming what palakafe is. Palakafe started as peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, but it started as a means to make sure that my great-granddaughter will be straight. This is my call to action. When I say palakafe, this is what I do it for. This is what I mean. This is where it comes from. You feel what I'm saying? So that is like, when I looked at the bigger picture, and it's like, when you're starting off from poverty, you are automatically in a space where you're coming from a bloodline, or you're coming from a repeated cycle that didn't even they didn't even use the 3 studies, let alone consider 3 bloodlines. You feel what I'm saying? Like my father didn't have any war diplomacy. His father, no war diplomacy. His father, no war diplomacy. My mother's dad, no war diplomacy. No war diplomacy. It's keep going, because it's like, it goes back into, how did black men get into this position? Because we got to look at it from the real truth and an honest perspective. We went to war. We are still currently prisoners of war. This is why they fear us so much, because what they fear is, we're going to get to a point where we understand the war and the diplomacy. And when we can solidify that, this is why their biggest fear is militant men. This is why their biggest fear is the structure of the Panthers and Nation of Islam and things like that. Their biggest thing is the fear of the unity and the militant. Like J. Edgar Hoover, which was a passing ass nigga, so it's weird. But J. Edgar Hoover said, I fear the rise of a black messiah who can spark I put it in Soul 3, but I fear the rise of a black messiah, because what he's going to do is spark the militant reality, whatever. So they give you all of these terms and these realities and say the messiah is going to be one savior that's going to do. No, in every reality of what a messiah is, it is the person who reaches the highest pinnacle of themselves, and they're able to teach people how to do it, right? When it comes to the war and the diplomacy, right, this aspect is what a lot of us are afraid of. And I'm doing a dramatic pause with that, because there's a reason why we're afraid of the war and the diplomacy, and it's tied to our religion. This is why I'm saying, religion is for women. This is why I had that episode where I was like, yo, patriarchal, I forgot what it was. I forgot the Soul Frail conversation, but it was just this last one where I was mentioning Patriarchy doesn't make men, it makes boys. It makes sons. It turns boys into sons for the very reason of preventing war and diplomacy. If you can go through and study war and diplomacy, you begin the path of liberation. You walk into manhood. If you are not able to study war and diplomacy, if you are not able to study these things, it's going to fuck with you. So what do they encourage us to do? Study lust. Study lust. Study fucking having bitches, all of this shit. We're excellent at that. That's the last thing. That's the last thing that we should be studying. But it's the first thing we're given to study. A lot of us know how to fucking sling dick before our balls even drop, for real. You feel what I'm saying? And some of us have hands that have hoes, but some of us don't have the true war and diplomacy. We don't even know what we're fighting for, but we just fight. So it's levels. You know what I'm saying? It's levels. So like I was saying, we're in this space now where they give us the religion via our mothers because, you know, a father, a true man who understands a religion ain't going to force it on his kid because he understands that this religion is bullshit and I see what it's doing. But you give a religion that says one of the first rules is you shouldn't kill nobody. Like, period. You know what I'm saying? It's weird because we end up killing each other and ourselves. We are at war with ourselves, and we are at war with ourselves and have no diplomacy for our own selves. So they're not even worried about the other shit because that's the battle we have to get through. You feel me? Because we have to realize we are indoctrinated so well and wired so well that we see through the lens of the Caucasian mind. We see through the lens of the Arab mind because we follow the religion of them. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's not difficult. It's not hard. But that religion is designed. The religion is designed to make sure that you don't become a man, but you remain a son. You feel what I'm saying? If you can get the collective men to understand war and diplomacy, now you start getting strategies. You feel what I'm saying? But all of this is masculinity, the spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment of the essence of analysis and deconstruction. So Frail's 1, 2, and 3. You feel me? But the core of it all. My bad, I'm still here. I just zoned out and I just thought that there might be a So Frail 4. I've been hinting at it for a while, but just having this episode and seeing where I'm now going with my mind, it might be a So Frail 4. The Absolute Man or some shit like that. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, studying the diplomacy in the war, right? We have become prayer warriors for the most part. Like, prayer warriors. That's scary to know because we become men who put our physical issues into the realm of a supernatural being. I'm not saying don't believe in a deity. I'm saying understand what a deity is. Understand how a deity manifests as you. Understand that everything that comes from deities are what we consider, you know, a deity's power are the results of our own decisions, the consequences of our decisions. And the consequences of our decisions have reverberated so much that we have generational consequences for the generational decisions. So the shit that your father's father didn't do affects you now. In religious texts, they say you will be cursed to the fourth. Your sins will curse you to the fourth generation. Sins are simply bad decisions. Like, if you go back and look up the word, like, go to the origins, it's simply bad decisions. We have magnified them and mystified them so much that we think sins are some mystical shit that is we have no control over. It's a divine connection that infuses in us. It's simply poor decisions. Generational curses are poor decisions. Generational blessings are sound decisions. When you continue to make the poor decision that 3 generations made before you, you're going to stay in this. You're not cursed. You're making poor decisions. You feel what I'm saying? When you start to create the blessings and you now make sound decisions and you teach those after you how to make sound decisions, shit remains in cycle. So I mentioned that because with the religion and shit like that, because as black people, I get it. We can be born of money. We can be born however it is. The template is designed to start us off in poverty because we're already not studying war and diplomacy. As black men, We don't study war and diplomacy. We leave war to the soldiers. We leave war to the generals. We leave war to the actual military that the government or that our country, continent is actually used to. So what are we doing with our time? What are we actually studying? As somebody, and I got to use myself because, you know, I can have a good story about myself anyway. So somebody, considering the places that I grew up and consider everything that I do now, you know, it's like I simultaneously use the war and diplomacy, the trade and the commerce, and the art and the music. Like, I've learned how to infuse all of that to understand what it is. But everybody doesn't go through to understand war and diplomacy, right? Because I think it's So Frail 2, or maybe So Frail 1. Either way, when I mention warriors, right? A warrior is not they masked the warrior and they gave us the barbarian. Barbarians don't understand war and diplomacy. They only understand destruction. So this gives us the street code. This gives us the hood nigga, the street nigga, the real nigga, like the killers and shit like that. These niggas are just destructive barbarians. Nothing that they do has reasoning behind what they do. War, if you study the art of war, right? War is won before it's fought, right? Motherfuckers go into war as barbarians just looking to win and don't have the ultimate plan of what they're going to war for. You feel what I'm saying? What is it that you're fighting for? Because when you know what it is you're fighting for, you know how you have to fight, right? And the reason why I said I use myself, because I had to come to this realization, and this ties into the connections of the three bloodlines versus, I ain't even gonna say versus, the three bloodlines in alignment with the three studies. Yeah, study everything you want to study, but understand we are in a patriarchal world that is based off dominion and submission. These are the only studies that matter. These are the only studies that matter. Yeah, I'm big on getting back to where we were when we were masculine and they were feminine. We were able to harmonize. We're not there. We're not there. We're still in a space of dominion, and we have to get out of that to get back into harmony. So it's levels to the shit. You feel what I'm saying? And a part of these levels is your three bloodlines. Because you have to maintain them. You have to gain dominion in the hierarchy to evolve into the harmony. You feel what I'm saying? If you fuck with me, if you walking with me. If not, toodaloo, motherfucker. No, I'm bullshit. But these things kind of, they set the tone for the way in which you have to approach these things. So if the first thing that you're supposed to study is responsible for the first bloodline, right? The bloodline that you're designed to continue, the one that you come from, we're going to address that first. The one that you come from is directly in alignment with the first study of war and diplomacy. Because the first rule of nature is self-preservation. You have to be a warrior and a diplomat in order to preserve yourself. It can't be one or the other. You have to be both. Because in times of, you're in a space where you're going to be placed in fight or flight response. But in fight or flight response, you have to say, if I can't flee and I have to fight, now I know when to fight, how to fight, and in what capacity to fight. The development and the maintenance and the cleaning and the purging and the healing of everything of your bloodline, that's a war, my nigga. That's a war. And there can't be any diplomacy. And diplomacy has to really be locked in, because when you see what the fuck is captivating you in your bloodline, what the fuck has captivated your people, what the fuck has been a consistent theme that's fucking y'all up, you have to go to war with it. I got to use myself as an example because I don't like telling other people's stories. Sometimes I do, but I mainly like to tell mine and give the actual lesson that I was able to get out of that. When the biggest war that my bloodline has to fight, that my bloodline had to come to get, is religion and alcoholism. Like, those are the two, is wild, but those are the two biggest battles that my mother and father came together with. My mother was heavily religious. My mother comes from the bloodline of the heavily religious, captivated side by that religious doctrine. I had to go to war with that. You feel me? My father's side is the alcoholism. You know what I'm saying? I had to go, like, I've experienced the depths of both of those. You feel what I'm saying? By undergrad, I ain't gonna say I was an alcoholic, because I really wasn't. But I reached a point where after heartbreak and shit, I remember drinking bottles of Patron Orange and shit, and the shit just, it feeling like nothing. I don't know where I was at to where, well, I know I was heartbreaking and damaged and shit, but I don't know where I was at to where I didn't feel it. You feel what I'm saying? But in the same capacity, the alcohol literally gave me the same feeling the religion did, to where it put me in a space where I didn't feel it. I wasn't feeling pain. I wasn't feeling these things. And it wasn't that I wasn't feeling them in a sense of I wasn't hurting, but I hadn't been numb to it and been ignoring and oblivious to the shit. But then when I see the effects of what it does what it has done to the men in the bloodline from both sides, I said, I got to go to war with this. I got to go to war with this. Now, going to war with it is the study and is the learning, but the diplomacy is, how do you navigate with it? You dig what I'm saying? How do you truly navigate with it? Because getting through that is going to help segue into the second bloodline part. You feel me? Going to war with the things that your bloodline has caused. Because you're going to have to make sure they can't resurface. And that you got to make sure that you're not connecting with them in the second bloodline. Which now, like I said, when you have the war in diplomacy, for me, it was religion and alcoholism. You know what I'm saying? Well, I ain't gonna say alcoholism, religion and addiction, because it's not just alcoholism. Both, but I'm gonna say, okay, my bad, slow down. It's religion and alcoholism, but the core of it all is addiction. It's addiction. You feel me? From my mom's side of the family, they're addicted to religion. You feel me? My dad's side of the family, like, the alcoholism was the addiction, but it was all escapism on trying to run away from the war that nobody could fight, or the men were not willing to fight because they didn't know that they had to fight. I tell stories about when I talked to my dad years ago and shit, and he would be like, yeah, the white man won't let you have anything. Nigga, what the fuck you mean? What the fuck do you mean, let you? What do you mean, let you? Like, that always used to get me about him. I'd be like, what do you mean, let you? But then I would hear it from the other side, from my mom, and it would be a different perspective. She would never say that let you. She would never say they're not going to let you get anything. She would just say, you have to adjust. You're going to have to adjust to be a part of the system. It's the same shit. What you mean, let me? Like, you feel me? I remember, like, one day, I used to have braids, right? I used to have long hair and shit. And I was like, I wanted to be a doctor and shit, you know. I mean, because I even went to med school. But it's like, my mom was like, yo, you're going to have to cut your hair because it's not professional. What you mean? Like, well, that's at that level, it's not professional. It's like, I don't get what you're saying. Why do I have to cut my hair? I'm not cutting it. You're going to have to cut your hair. Like, they're not going to let you in if you don't play by their rules. Okay, cool. So it's the same shit, just expressed a different way. You feel me? They're not going to let you have anything. Why? Because of the war and the diplomacy. I don't even know that I'm blocked out of this shit because of a war that nobody's paying attention to. A war that nobody's paying attention to. And they're not paying attention to it so much that they're not seeing the buffers that are making sure the war does not ignite again. You feel me? Now I get it. Motherfuckers, are you saying go to war with these people? No, you're outmanned. You're outmanned, you're outorganized. I'm not talking about that, but this is why I'm mentioning war and diplomacy. Because the diplomacy side of war is how you fight. You feel what I'm saying? And you got to know how to play the motherfucking game. Get into the game. My bro always tell me, he say this shit. He say, you infiltrate, infiltrate, educate, and then vacate. Or something like that. I might be saying it wrong, bro. Blame my mind, not my heart, if I forgot. But it's something along those lines. You go into the game, you learn it, and then you vacate. You feel what I'm saying? Or is it infiltrate, vacate, and then educate? So it might be that. But whatever it is, it's along the lines of you go in, learn the shit, bring it back to your people. We go in, and because we don't have diplomacy with the war, we don't realize how the psychological side of it makes us not go back to teach it. I'm doing a dramatic pause with that because that's been our thing forever. When we was in the South, like, I think, like, right after the Civil War and motherfuckers got free, it was like, yo, you go from the South, you go to the North, you learn the skills, and then you come back. They went to the North and got stuck. because they went with war and no diplomacy. The war, I'm gonna go in there so I can beat y'all systems and shit. But now it's like, I can't go back to y'all because I've already been programmed to wire that y'all ain't shit, and I don't even realize it. The education system makes me a white supremacist, and I can't even see it. That's crazy, and niggas don't even see it, which is wild because it's right there in your face. You feel me? Like, you don't start to see it until you get higher up in education. It's like, now, I grew up in the hood. Like, I grew up with, like, I used to scrap motherfucking, like, the niggas that people was afraid of, I was like, that nigga ain't scary? Like, what do you mean? Like, I live around the corner from, like, you feel me? Like, that's my nigga, bro. Like, shit like that. But then it's like, when you grow up in the war zone, war isn't scary. Like, when you're in the war zone, not when you a spectator watching the war. When you're in the war zone isn't scary. So it's like, when you get older and you realize how many people were watching the war that weren't in the war zone, that are speaking on the war, they're afraid of it. They're afraid of it. Like, whenever I get, because I am that, whenever I would get, like, and you know, this was undergrad, college, this was undergrad, master's, whatever. When I would get in those spaces, motherfuckers be like, are you okay? I'm good. I'm not snapping. I just, like, case in point, when I was in undergrad, I was in the lobby one day. Now, this is a story of war and fucking diplomacy. I practiced diplomacy in the situation, but I was ready for war, right? So, and it's with a motherfucker who's, I don't like passive aggressive people, bro. I hate y'all. I hate y'all. If you a bitch, you a bitch. And if you passive aggressive, you a bitch. And I don't fuck with passive aggressive shit. So we in the lobby, right? And we supposed to, it's like program night. You know how in college and undergrad and shit, your lobby that you live in, you have program nights, you come down. I was always in the program nights because that's where the women was at, bro. They was always there. So I went down there chilling. So I'm talking to one of my homegirls and shit, and we sitting at the back. And this guy is supposed to be doing a presentation that's on the DVD. The DVD don't work. All I said was, I guess we can't watch it. That's it. And I wasn't trying to be like, I didn't have any kind of ill will or no shit to that nigga. I didn't even know that nigga. I just said, hey, I guess we can't watch it. I was just thinking out loud. You feel me? So he looked back and he started saying something. He was like, well, we gonna do something. And I was like, so I looked at the shorty I was sitting beside and I was like, I'm gonna leave. This is diplomacy. Cause I know I'd fuck him up. I know I'd fuck him up. You feel me? And it's not even close. Like, I know. So I'm like, I'm gonna walk away. So I said, look, I'm going to head out. So I walk out the doors. And as I'm waiting I'm hit the elevator button. But as I'm waiting on the elevator, I look through the panel because it had like a glass and I just see his mouth moving. So I open the door. And now, mind you, as calm as I'm having this conversation right now and as candid as I'm having this conversation right now, that's how I walked through the door. But when it's in you, it's in you. As soon as I opened the door, I said, just say what you said. Everybody looked and said, no, get out. Don't do that. I said, I'm not going to fuck with him. I said, I'm not going to fuck with him. I just want to know what he said. And he wouldn't say shit. Now, hindsight, well, I ain't going to say hindsight, but I guess it would be, in a sense, it's hindsight, but it's not hindsight because it'll be days later. I went to the lobby and I was talking to the RD and shit and a few of the RAs that was in there for the program. And they was like, I didn't know you can get like that. I was like, get like what? So I just went in there to speak to him because I always spoke to him because I like, you know, they cool people and shit. So I just went in there to have fun, talk to him, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They was like, I didn't know you can get like that. I said, get like what? They was like, don't act like you don't know. I said, no what? They was like, the way you walked in there, your face, you was going to, I said, I wasn't going to do shit to him. And I said, and this is what fucked everybody up. I said, if I was, it wasn't going to be shit y'all could do about it. That's how you know I wasn't going to do nothing to him. And when I say you could hear a rat pissing on cotton, they looked at me like, now mind you, here's what's fucking them up because this is the honors hall. They used to a whole bunch of geeky nerds and shit who are just the passive aggressive niggas like the nigga that said what he said. And I was like, I wasn't gonna do nothing to him, y'all. Like, I just wanted to know what he said. Like, literally, because I was like, and I told the story. I said, all I said was, guess we can't watch it. And he said something snappy. So I said, I'm gonna walk out because I seen his neck move. And it's like, I know that you're not just talking to me to like normal. That's an attitude. So I said, I'm gonna leave because I know where I will take it. Not where I will take it. You feel me? I was posting this. I'm gonna get back to the story. I was posting this on Threads and shit. I was like, yo, I'm an Aries. And this was before I knew astrology, all of that shit. But I was like, I'm an Aries and I'm a generator. I will take it as far as it will go. Like, ain't no breaks. If you take it there, we're going until I say it's done. You feel me? So I even had that as a kid, bro. I was like, I don't take it as far as it can go. I take it as far as it will go. You better hope you can stop me. You feel me? Because I'm done when I want to be done. So I tell him the story. I'm like, yeah, it wasn't like I wasn't mad. I wasn't angry. I literally just wanted to know what he said. But it was like the way you walked in, it was just, I said, I'm just built like that. You feel me? We had a little laugh and we chucked it up or whatever, but it was like, I was always ready for war, but I practiced diplomacy too at a young age. Even then, I was like, I can tell if something was worth it. I wasn't gonna fuck him. I'm in college, bro. I'm like, yo, this is my freshman year. I'm not about to get kicked out of college for this bitch ass nigga. The fuck? Like, I got a goal and a dream, but I just really want to know what he said and let him know. Don't do no shit like that no more, bro. Don't do no shit like that, because I beat motherfuckers up. I fight for real. I'm not gonna be a talker. Like, I don't like that shit. We can fight. We can fight. Win, lose, or draw, we can fight. Like, that's how I've always been. You feel me? Win, lose, or draw, we can fight. Doesn't have to get there. Spinning it all in to the core of this thing. The war and diplomacy that you have to develop, you have to be able to get there. You feel me? But what they do with us is they make us go into these spaces of authority and positions of power that takes away from us getting the war side of this shit. You feel me? They say the pen is mightier than the sword, but the sword is still mighty. Like, how mighty is your pen if you can't use it? You feel what I'm saying? Like, shit like that. Like, that's how I be thinking sometimes. Like, I get the cliches, like, and these are things, a lot of people have a lot of cliches that they quote, and they, but if you notice, something that I always do, and this goes into just certain things of art and the music and shit, but like, whenever I quote something, I always try to extend it and make it something deeper, because it's like, I don't want to stay there with the thought, because I don't know why you were staying there with that thought. You know what I'm saying? So when they say, yo, the pen is mightier than the sword, not if you ain't got no hand, nigga. That was chopped off because of the sword. Like, I get it. You want to talk about the diplomacy of it. You feel me? That's where the pen comes in. But fuck your pen if the war doesn't allow you to have diplomacy. The fuck? What good is your pen if I cut your hand off? What good is your pen if I don't listen to your doctrine? You feel me? What good is your pen if I don't fuck with your constitution? What good is your pen if I cut your fucking hand off? You feel me? Now I get it. It's levels to the pen that's mightier than the sword, because when you write, you can, I seen this other post too, and it ties into this. Shorty was like, if your man can't do 50 push-ups, then you need to leave him alone. He said, she said, if he can't do 50 push-ups, he's not a leader. He said, but if I can get 50 niggas to do 50 push-ups without doing any push-ups, what does that make me? Real shit, bro. Real shit. It's like, I started to see that shit early. Like, I can tell niggas, I can have niggas beat niggas up for me. I can fight, but I can have niggas fight niggas for me. That's a motherfucker you don't want to fuck with. You feel what I'm saying? In our real time, on a grander scale, we saw it with Tupac, with Thug Life. When the dude that shot and killed that cop or whatever and screamed Thug Life, they blamed Tupac. They was like, your philosophy is what made him do that. He said, my philosophy didn't make him do shit. You feel me? Ain't no diplomacy. How mighty is your sword? How mighty is your pen when your sword? How mighty is your pen when your hand get cut off? You feel me? He said, I can't help that he was brutalized and shit like that and chose to scream Thug Life. Y'all shouldn't have been fucking with that man. But y'all was fucking with that man. And so that's the side of it. But now, into that, and I'm glad I used that, because, the killing the cops and all this shit, like, we don't realize that they are guarding us at all times, making sure we don't go to war. Imagine this as a black man. This should be a testament to your true innate power. You feel me? Beyond religion. Like, this is what get me. It's like, if prayer really worked as they said it was, if we could really be prayer warriors and shit like that, there will be no reason why any of this shit is still going on. It should happen. It should stop immediately. Prayer don't do shit, right? Prayer doesn't do shit to the context that prayer just creates the image for you to get the action to do what the fuck you need to do. Niggas can't even visualize what the fuck they praying for. And then when they do pray, because they praying in a subservient way, they're not praying to get in the situation. They're praying to stay in the situation they're trying to get out of. Because all you're visualizing when you're praying and you're begging is, this is the problem. You're not even visualizing the next step. You're not even visualizing what's supposed to come next. You're not visualizing that shit. You feel what I'm saying? But you're a prayer warrior. Nigga, what the fuck is that gonna do? You can't pray when they bring guns to your door. You feel me? You can't pray when you get punched in the fucking mouth. Like, but you're like, fuck that. Fuck that. And it's like, this is a duality, and this is a testament to the balance of who I am. The men on my mom's side of my family, they're prayer warriors. They won't fight. When and this is how crazy this shit is, right? When I'm around them, I'm the wild one. Like, I'm the motherfucker that'll beat niggas up, and I'm the motherfucker that, he's the gangster. It's like, we gonna pray. Like, don't pray for me. When I'm around my dad's side of the family, I'm the calm one. I'm the peaceful one. I'm the one that, quote unquote, wouldn't roast a grape in a fruit fight. I'm an even balance between both of them. Now, I had one of my big cousins tell me, and this is from my dad's side of the family, this big cousin was like, yo, you the worst one. He said, because you the only one that can control it. I was like, what you mean? He said, nah, we don't control this shit. He said, when it's on, it's on. He was like, you got to be pushed there. But when you push there, it ain't going off. And I was like, nah, man, I don't think. He said, I'm telling you, watch. And then I snapped one time. Like, I will always go fisticuffs with niggas. We can go around and go fisticuffs, but I snapped one time. One time, and there was nothing nobody could do. And I snapped. It scared. When I was 15 years old when this happened. And when it went off, nobody could do anything. Like, I had like everybody in the hood was around. They were just out watching, and they looking like, yo, why the fuck is you wilding, bro? Like, yo, this day got me so much that it's like I ended up crying at the end, right? And whether you can view me as a bitch for crying or whatever the case may be, because I couldn't do shit. But it's like, here's how the story went. And I'm gonna get back to the thing, but all of this ties into war and diplomacy and shit, like, because it comes to a point where there's no more diplomacy and it's only war. And that's what this story is about right now, before I get to the trade and the commerce or the next parts of the bloodline. Me and my homies, we used to just, walk around the neighborhood all day long. So some white people lived out there, and we was walking, and this lady, I ain't gonna give a name, but this lady, she stopped me. She said, hey, why were y'all looking at my daughter like y'all want to jump her? Bitch, we don't fight girls, bro. We not about to jump your daughter. I'm 15. My other homie, I think he was 15 because it's summertime. So he probably turned 15 already, or he about to. And then my other homie like 13. So we always walking. And so the week prior to that, right, the white lady that's just asking us why we was looking at her daughter getting jumped, she had another daughter who was riding a bike and fell off and busted her ass, right? And kids, I'm like this, save kids, bro. Kids ain't got shit to do with the beef or whatever the case may be if you don't fuck with somebody. So when she fell, it was hilarious how she fell, but I kept it together. But I tried to, like, when she just fell off the bike and she was like, ha, 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 ah, and she started crying and shit. So my niggas, they laughed at her. Now I got one of my homies, he like 13. He was 13 at the time. So when he laughed, he didn't have to laugh like that. It was like everybody was like, like, you know how when you laugh when somebody falls, it's just a laugh. But it was no longer a laugh anymore with him. He was ha, 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 like pointing at her. I said, that's a little girl, man. Chill the fuck out, man. That's a kid, bro. Like, I was like, yo, that's a baby. Like, but mind you, she was like 7. She was like 7 or 8. So I'm like, yo, that's a fucking kid, bro. Leave that girl alone. So it's like that time goes on, right? I'm saying that because this is a part of the breakdown. I'm telling him, yo, chill the fuck out, right? There was another situation with my two niggas, the wild out ones and shit. It's like, I forgot what happened. Somebody disrespected one of my homies or some shit, white dude, and he had a chain in his hand. And my homie beat him up and stomped him the fuck out. And while he's fighting, I'm like, yo, leave that, because the boy got heart problems and he frail. Like, he a kid, but like, he ain't a kid, but he's our age because we went to middle school and shit with us, but like, he had heart conditions. He was frail. Like, we knew he couldn't fight. But my homie said he talked too much shit. I get it. There's no diplomacy when it's only war. You feel me? So he beat him up. That's another story. So that's another pin. So I'm telling him, hey, yo, get off that man, bro. Leave him. I'm trying to break it up, because now the boy daddy come outside. And when his daddy come outside, now we gotta fight. Because it's like, oh, nah, nigga, this is like my homie at the time, like I said, he was like 13. And he beating up another 13-year-old. But his dad come out and he run up on my other homie, and my other homie just stick him, bing, and knock his cigarettes out his hand. So I'm like, y'all chill the fuck out. And see, because we black and they white, it looks like I'm on some, like, look out for the white people shit. It's like, no, I'm looking out for y'all. Like, this is not a fair fight. We already know they can't fuck with us. And we knew that. We was whooping their ass. And so it's like, all right, bet. We break up, we leave that shit alone. Now, that's what I'm saying, put a pin in that. So we walking. And the mother of the little girl who fell off the bike, right? She comes out and sees us walking. Say, "Hey, why was y'all staring at my daughter like you wanted to jump her?" I said, "We ain't gonna jump your motherfucking daughter." And I told her the girl that I was actually looking at, another white girl. Now, let me just tell the story because I wasn't trying to fuck with the white girl. The white girl had a crush on me since middle school, right? By this time, we're in high school. This the summer. I'm 15, so this is probably the summer after my sophomore year. So she's had a crush on me since high school, since middle school, right? When I used to have a best friend who's a white dude. Prior to like age 11, something shifted in me and shit, and I just went back home and started fucking with my people again. But I used to hang with a lot of white people. So by 11, my best friend at the time, he went with the girl's sister, right? And the girl, she was always, but her parents were racist. Her mama and them, they didn't like black people, so everything she was trying to do was keep it under wraps. But I knew she sucked dick, and she was trying to give me some head, and I was like, all right, we could never plan it. Like every time I would be trying to get some head from her, it would never plan right. It'd be like, I'd be about to get it. I'd be like, yo, you gonna give me some motherfucking head? Yeah, where we going? I don't know, but I could never get the head from her. So this particular time, when they said, why was you looking at the girl? And I was like, nah, I was looking at somebody else. So I literally said like that. I said, nah, I was looking at somebody else. I wasn't studying your daughter, bro. And she was like, all right, I'll be sure to let her mama know that. I don't give a fuck, because in my mind, I'm like, I was looking at her because she was looking at me because we was trying to see when she was going to give me some head. Like, that's really what the fuck it was. So it's nighttime one night. It was like either that, I think it had to be that same night, because I don't know if they called her or whatever the case may be. But when they called her and shit, when they called they called her grandma or something and told her that, you know, I was looking at her or whatever the case may be. So we walking. Again, I'm calm and cool headed because like, I want some head from her. So it's like, I was looking at you. Don't even get up here acting like you crazy. So they pull up. It's the grandma. It's the girl. It's like, mind you, it's all white people. Grandma, the girl, like 4 other people in the van and some shit or whatever the case may be, right? And it's like, I don't know if in my mind, I don't know that they want to fight. I don't know that it's a problem at first, right? So me and my young homie, like he like 13 at the time, I'm like 15. So I'm walking him home because I'm like, yeah, I gotta, let you get home and shit. So we about to cut through the cut, and the cut that we cut through to get to his house just so happens to be right at the yard of the lady who just asked, you know what I'm saying, was I looking at her daughter? And I had the clarification. So the grandmother is there, and she said, hey, why were you looking at my granddaughter? I said, man, get the fuck out of here. Ain't nobody looking at your granddaughter. I said, so I was like, man, ain't nobody looking at your granddaughter like that. I said, she was looking at me. That's what it was. She's like, why are you looking at my granddaughter like you want to do something to her? I said, ain't nobody looking at your granddaughter like they want to do something to her. I said, your granddaughter was looking at me. And when I said it like that was the implication, like, yo, she want to do something to me. She been trying to suck my dick since middle school. And I keep trying to get it from her, but she won't give it to me. But I ain't going to tell you that because I don't want to put her out like that. I'm trying to leave it like that. So I was like, your granddaughter want to look at it. So I'm in a lighthearted mode. I know can't none whoop my ass. So it's like I'm in a lighthearted mode. And it's like, I'm maintaining the diplomacy, my nigga. The diplomacy. So we got a mutual friend, a black dude, mutual friend. I guess we can call him a coon or whatever at this point, but he's a mutual friend. And he's an older guy too. He was one of my big homies. And this is what pissed me off about it, because he was one of my big homies. Like, I'm 15, so he had to be in his like late 30s, 40s and shit. Like, he was a big homie and shit. Like, you supposed to de-escalate shit like that because he's the mutual friend between these two parties and shit. So I find out later that it's because he was fucking the girl that was trying to suck my dick. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. All right, nigga, I got you. But anyway, now mind you, me and the girl was in middle school together. Like, he's the big, you see what I'm saying? So anyway, I'm maintaining and trying to keep the diplomacy in tow. You feel me? So she's like, I'm like, yo, hey, bro, get your peoples, man. Tell them to calm down. He said, and this was his words, I ain't got nothing to do with it. Put a pin in that. I'm putting a pin in a lot of stories because it's a cocktail that's developing right in this moment. So I tell my homie, I said, look, man, I'm about to walk you home. So she like, why were you looking at her? I said she was looking at me. She said, and look, I had heard a game mixtape. And he said, I ain't shit, but I'll peel your motherfucking top off. So I'm joking like that. She was like, what, you think you're too good to be looked at? I said, nah, I ain't shit. She said, you right, you ain't shit. I said, you ain't shit neither, bitch. When that came out, when I said you ain't shit neither, bitch, I switched off. The diplomacy was gone. It was gone. Because I had tried to maintain the decorum. I had tried to tell the nigga, look, it ain't that. I'm just trying to walk my man's home. and you arguing. And so I was like, it switched off. And then it went up because after I said, you ain't shit, I was like, nah, I ain't shit. I said, but you ain't shit neither, bitch. And she said, and the girl, and it's crazy, I ain't mad at her. I ain't mad at her because family first. The girl that was trying to suck my dick and shit, she was like, you just said, this is what she said, because that's a car full of niggas. They ain't niggas, but you feel me? It's a car full of motherfuckers. And she say, oh, you just called my grandma a bitch? We're about to jump you. We're? Jump? I said, Jonathan, go home. That was my little homie and shit. I was like, hey, nigga, go home. He said, nah, nigga, I ain't gonna. I said, go home. Go home. I got it. And I walked to the street. I said, first motherfucker, I said it loud. I said, I don't hit women. I don't hit women. But the first motherfucker that come to this motherfucking street, because it was women and men all in this van. I said, the first motherfucker come to the street, I'm knocking you out. Bring your ass. Bring your ass. And now I'm pacing back and forth. And it's like, because they said it was going to jump me and shit. So I'm like, so they get out the car. And I say, and I'm like really, I'm not even mad. I'm excited now because they got out of the car. And I told my man, I said, yo, go the fuck home. I got this. Nah, Brian gonna let them. They not. Go the fuck home. I got this. And he said, nah, Brian ain't leaving. So he stayed there, whatever case may be. He ain't had to, he ain't had to do shit. So they started walking towards me. And when they started walking towards me, it's like, I don't know if a surge happened or whatever, but they all stopped walking. And when they stopped walking, Shorty was like, and the one that would have sucked my dick and shit. And it's like, I don't know why I keep describing her like that. I guess because I don't want to use names. But she was like, so why don't you come in the yard and do something? I said, I'm not coming to the yard. Y'all come to the street. It's got to be fair game, baby. I said, come to the street. I said, you know what? You a woman. So I said, you a girl. So I'm gonna let you be a girl. I said, get all of the niggas right there. Let them come to the street. I said, watch what I'm gonna do to you. I said, tell them to come to the street and watch what I'm gonna do to you. I said, you a girl. So I'm gonna get motherfucker to peel your motherfucking top off. Put a pin in that. That's important. So it's like, it's getting to a point where I have reached the level that nobody's ever seen before. It's been in me this whole time. I just never had to pull the shit out. You feel me? So motherfuckers didn't know this was like this. So motherfuckers, all my homies and shit, everybody walking down the street and seeing. So my homegirl, she like, Ray, calm down. I said, nope, I ain't calming down. Because I said, ain't nobody gonna fucking stop me. So at this point, it got so bad. I'm in the street, like I'm literally in the street just telling niggas to come on, waiting for them to come out. They ain't call. Now, luckily, they had my mama phone number. And they chose to call my mama and not the police. But they called my mama. And when I say this is right here, when the diplomacy was completely gone. There was a little modicum of diplomacy when I was walking back and forth because I wouldn't even fight the women. I said, tell the men to come to the street and I'm going to bust their motherfucking ass and show y'all what I would do to y'all. Since you said we're going to jump you, just let all the niggas come to the street. Now, mind you, the big homie, I told him again, hey, yo, get your people, tell them to calm down. I ain't got shit to do with it. Okay. They called my mama. I'm in the street wilding. Like, usually, like, if I'm about to scrap, I'm gonna tell you, look, this is when I knew it was on a whole nother level, bro. Usually, when I'm about to scrap, if I see my mama I run. I would run. I would calm down and be like, yo, we just bullshit. Like, no. This time, it didn't work. It didn't work. That's how I knew I had went somewhere else. Like, when my mom pulled up, and my mom got this thing, all black women got it. Well, my mom got this thing where she was like, yo, get in this car. Y'all can already feel that my teeth was clenching shit like that. What did you feel me? She was like, get in this car. I said, you taking they side? I got in the car. But at the same time, as I was walking around, I said, y'all done turned my mama on me, bro. I said, when I come back, I'm whooping all y'all ass. I said, I put that on everything. Y'all all getting fucked up. And so I'm talking so much shit that as I'm getting in the car, I'm not even the same person no more. But I'm me, but I'm not. The cap is gone. The performance, all of that shit is gone, nigga. Like, the diplomacy is gone. It's all war at this point, nigga. So I'm in the car, and my mama's like, we got to talk about it. I said, ain't no talking, ma. Let's go the fuck home. I had never cussed in front of my mama before. And she looked. She's like, you need to call. I said, nah, fuck that. I'm not calming down. I said, they gonna call you. I said, they gonna threaten me. They gonna tell me they gonna motherfucking jump me. Then they gonna call you like some little bitches and shit. I said, when I come back, I'm whooping all y'all ass. Since y'all want to motherfucking see me fight, y'all gonna motherfucking see me fight. Let's fucking go. My mom was like, yo, calm down. We ain't gonna get nowhere. I said, fuck that. Fuck that. Fuck that. I had never cussed like that in front of my mama before, bro. So the lady comes up to the car. Cause now I'm in my mom pulled over to the side. I'm in the passenger seat. And, of course, my mom is the driver, so she pulled up to the passenger seat. Now, I'm in between them. She said, I don't know why he got so angry. I just asked him. I said, no, bitch, you didn't ask me no motherfucking simple question. What the fuck you asked me was why the fuck was I looking at your daughter like I was some kind of fucking pervert, bitch? I said, your daughter want to suck my motherfucking dick, and you gonna call me a fucking pervert? Everybody like, yo, Ray, calm down. Nah, fuck that. Fuck that. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm reliving this moment right now, but this shit is hilarious now, but I love this moment. So I'm like, fuck that. Fuck that. I said, when I come back, I'm whooping everybody motherfucking ass. There was one motherfucking person who stood by my side that was on their side. And I was like, because I started telling the stories. I said, when the motherfucking little ass girl fell off her bike and everybody was laughing, I told him to calm the fuck down, because that's a little motherfucking girl. When old boy got jumped, I told everybody to stop motherfucking fighting that nigga, because we don't need to be out here wilding. We need to go the fuck home. And y'all want to pull this shit on motherfucking me. I said, fuck all y'all. I'm whooping all y'all ass when I fucking come back. Let's motherfucking go. And now she's like, you just need to. Now, this is the lady. This isn't my mama. This is the lady talking about, you just need to calm down because I didn't mean it like that. I said, yes, the fuck you did mean it like that. You meant it like that. I said, I know you meant it like that, because when your granddaughter said we gonna jump you, all y'all got out the car. You feel me? And when the granddaughter, again, I said, put a pin in that point. So the story that I said put a pin in, like, these are coming up as I'm telling them. I was trying to protect y'all when my niggas was whooping y'all motherfucking ass. You feel me? And that's the thanks that I get. Now y'all got to see the nigga that was calming everybody else down get the fuck lit. You feel me? So the girl that I said, I said, you a woman. I said, I'll get a bitch to peel your motherfucking top off. Now, this is when shit took a crazy turn. So she gonna look into the car and say, but didn't you say you were gonna get somebody to beat me up? I said, no, bitch. I said I was gonna get somebody to peel your motherfucking top off. That mean kill your stupid ass. Everybody looked like, okay. So now the dude that was the mutual motherfucking friend, the OG, you feel me? He come up to me, he put his hand on my chest and shit and try to calm me down. He said, yo, Ray, calm down. I said, bitch, fuck you. I said, all this shit could have been fucking prevented if you would have got your motherfucking people like I asked you to, nigga. What you say? You ain't got nothing to do with it. I said, you stay out of it too, nigga. I said, when I come back, you got to see me too, pussy. Now it's like, now at this point, I done talked myself into like 6 fights right now. And I'm ready to fight every single one of them. And I said, when my mama dropped me off, I'm going to run back out. And I told her, I said, Mom, I said, you can go in and take me home. I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I said, they got to see me. I said, they got to motherfucking see me, bro. And my mom was like, yo, Ray, calm down or we not going. I said, we already there. We already there. It ain't nowhere to go. I said, when I come the fuck back, y'all better be ready to fight. Have whatever it is that you need to have, because when I motherfucking come back in this bitch, I'm ready to fight. And then it's like, as I'm explaining this shit, I felt like real anger coming up. I said, I'm the only one. At the time, I didn't smoke weed. I had stopped smoking weed at the time. And I wasn't, wilding, doing shit like that. I said, I'm the only motherfucker in this bitch that's staying out of trouble. I ain't smoking. I ain't selling drugs. I ain't doing all this shit. Niggas want to fuck with me. I said, I go to school. I get good grades. I mind my motherfucking business. And these niggas want to fuck with me. Like I said, I don't know where the fuck that shit came out. But whatever diplomacy I had, that shit was gone. And I was ready for war. So then the lady says, no, I didn't mean it like that. I didn't know. I was just asking I said, you didn't ask no fucking simple question. You called me a fucking pervert because your daughter want to suck my dick. I don't know why I kept calling her a daughter. It was really her granddaughter, but I think the mama was gone. And so she lived with her and shit. But I was like, she want to suck my motherfucking dick. You feel me? And from there, it's like, it kept, like, everything came out and I broke down and I started crying. That's when I started crying. And I was like, all the motherfucking shit I do, and this is the motherfucking thanks I get. I said, I'm trying to stop motherfuckers from beating up the retarded nigga that can't. Now, I don't know if he was retarded, but I called him retarded in this moment because, you feel me, he was the frail kid. I don't know, we young. So I said, I stopped the homies from beating up the retarded motherfucker. I stopped the homies from laughing when the little girl fell off the bike. I've been stopping the homies from doing stupid shit this whole time, and this is the motherfucking thanks I get. I'm fucking tired. And then I cried. And it was like, that shit, my mama was like, all right, we done. And then I was like, now fuck that. When I come back, I'm telling you. I said, when I come, and this is when I knew I had reached a whole new level or whatever the fuck it was. Because in that moment, I'm crying, I'm boo-hooing, I'm breaking down, like the tears is coming down. I'm like, I said, I'm fucking tired, yo. And I started crying. And then I wiped the tears and I was like, this is when we left. And this when it was time, I said, when I come back, y'all got to see me. Let's go. And then it was like, all right, so we go home. And then my mama was like, She was like, yo, you need, I said, I ain't trying to hear it, Ma. You took their side. This is the tone that I'm speaking with now. Whatever snap in that moment, after I let that shit out, this is why I'll be telling you, I was like, yo, crying is the release from the soul. And what you've been holding in finally released, something happens. I'm just speaking on my experience, bro. The diplomacy was gone. The tears were the years and the all of the time and the years of everything, putting up all of that mask and preventing the war. Y'all want war now, so y'all get it. You feel me? So when we get back home, we go through, my mom like, yo, you need to calm down. I said, Mom, I ain't trying to hear that. You took their side. You took their side. And she was like, I didn't take their side. I said, Mom, when you pulled up, you said, get in the car, just like that. You didn't even ask if they started it with me. You took their side and you assumed. She said, no, I did that so you would get in the car. And I said, look where it got us. I said, they started this with me. And so my mom got me and we really started talking. The shit really started to come out. And I told everything. I was like, she was like, so, this, like, my sister had lived in another city at the time. She was like, you want to go blow off some steam, go, stay with your sister for a little bit so you can get your head back right? I said, mm-mm. And when I went back, niggas was gone. I wasn't bullshitting. I said, nigga, when I come back, nigga, we got to fight. Y'all niggas got to see me. I meant that shit. And I was like I said, diplomacy is gone. And the reason why I said that is because I didn't have the luxury of coming from the generation that already fought the wars and the diplomacy. That was what I had to actively go through myself. You feel what I'm saying? And being able to be wired enough to go through the levels of not having to go through the experience because I couldn't learn from somebody else's. You feel me? And like I said, that was the one time in my life that I snapped. And I couldn't hold back anymore. I couldn't restrain it. I couldn't, you know what I'm saying? It's there. It's there. It's never had to come out any other reason. Except when I got cheated on. That was different. My mom. And because my mama had seen me at 15, she was like, I'm so glad that you was not in that girl's face because you probably would have killed her. She said, I've only seen you like that one time. And I told her about it. She thought back to the time and I was like, yeah. She's like, it was wild though. Cause like afterwards, like she would laugh. She'd be like, yo, they got to see you, huh? I said, shut up, Ma. I'm like, yeah, they got to see you. Yeah. And they didn't see me when I went back. Hey, bro, for real though, at some point we got to stop talking to women about masculinity and start talking to each other about it. And I mean really talk to each other. Not as enablers and co-signers, but as men trying to reach the pinnacle of our essence. And that's what the So Frail series does. So Frail 1 is the definition. So Frail 2 is the acknowledgement. And So Frail 3 is the resolution. If you rock with the So Frail conversations, I can guarantee you will rock with the So Frail series of books. So visit IamJustSaying.com right now so you can add the series to your library. I promise you will never look at masculinity the same again, and you're going to stop wasting your time arguing with women about it. This is a conversation that men need to have between men, and it's time we start having this conversation now. Everybody was apologetic. Everybody was calming down. OG wanted to dap me up and she was like, yo, man, I didn't know. Man, nigga, you sat right there and watched it. And you told me this ain't got shit to do with you. It still ain't got shit to do with you. Stay where you at. You feel me? It was like, nigga, you feel me? Because what they didn't know is that at the time, all of my homies was like sentinels. Like I was the centerpiece, but I looked to the left, my homie sitting right there at the corner waiting. My other homie didn't go home like I told him to. It would have been a massacre out there. We would have fucked everybody up. The same two niggas that was laughing, the same two niggas that beat up the other people that I kept trying to calm them down, they was waiting for me. If I'm calming them down and they fucking y'all up, what you think's gonna happen when I let them loose with me? The fuck? We're going to jail. Oh, I had to break the tension. But that's the first bloodline, bro. You have to practice war and diplomacy. You have to be ready for this shit. Like, you feel me? I used to be, this is what the system is designed to do. It's designed to I got a jam session where I was like, take the beast into the something and you tame him. You can tame the beast. And a lot of times the system will take the lion and turn him into, to take Mufasa and turn him into Alex. You feel me? And yeah, you still a lion. And they still know that you had the potential to be a lion, but you ain't no lion no more. And when I started to see that that's what happens when you go up in academia, we're fighting a different war now. The education system, all of these indoctrinating systems, they make sure you're not the lion anymore. And you still think you got it, but you don't got it. You feel me? When I went to an HBCU, so I was fortunate enough to see, all of us, you see our own people there, but it's like everybody, it's the same pathway. It's like by the time you graduate your senior year, you back in Christianity. You back in your religious shit. I don't know how it happens like that, but it's like, whoa. You wasn't going to church when you first started, but now you feeling a certain way and not like, it's a pipeline. It's the education system. They're getting you back. They're getting you back. Now the men aren't, you know what I'm saying? We ain't on that warrior shit no more. We ain't on that. I could never turn my shit off. I wanted to, but I couldn't. But then when I realized that it started to be effective, me and my girl at the time, we was at her apartment and shit, and the door was unlocked. And we on like the third floor, and the door's unlocked. She was like, could you lock the door? I was like, the fuck you need to lock the door for? She said, I don't want anybody to come in. If they ain't come in, they ain't gonna get far. And she was like, just lock the door. I was like, you don't think I can? Nigga, what? And my thing was, I taught her how to fight. Like, I remember when we first got together and shit, like we had our, like I tell you, put your hands up and shit. Like, let me show you how to get down. And so for 3, I talk about this. I said, I got to teach you how to protect and provide for yourself as if I would protect and provide for you. You feel me? So it's like, if we're going to talk about protection, you got to be able to fight. So we would square up and shit. I wouldn't hit her. We wouldn't physically fight. But I just, shadow box with her, show her like, bam, put your hands up. And she'll put her hands up. I like, guard your face because here it comes. I throw like 3 of them. She'd be like, I'm like, why you didn't move? She was like, it was too fast. Like, how did you do that? I was like, why didn't you move and block? She said, I couldn't even react in time because she didn't grow up in that type of shit. You feel me? So it's like, all right, look, I'll slow it down. So it's like, bam. So then I started to, she started to learn how to do certain shit. And then we started to speed up a little bit. But then it was always like, she's like, you're just too fast. Like, I don't know. She said, I would be hit if we fought. I said, I know. That's why I won't fight you. Because I'll beat you the fuck up. But then with time, because of all of the performance that I had to keep stopping. Now, this was like my freshman and sophomore year when we were doing this. But as time progressed and shit, it's like, I'm no longer that. The warrior is gone. And it's all diplomacy. But it's diplomacy that's pacifism. You feel me? It's like, you're not even on some diplomatic shit where you can make it seem like, nigga, if we go to war, you know it's going to be a problem. It's like, nigga, I'm not worried about your war. I don't know what kind of diplomacy you're on, but I'm not worried about you being in the war because you can't. At this level, you can't fight no more. Even I've said it to niggas like, it's like, yo, y'all niggas in college and now y'all just want to start a gang banging and shit. Hey, niggas, some niggas wanted to keep their warrior spirit, but then some niggas had no diplomacy with their warrior spirit. And that was where the fuck up was happening. Because do you know how to redirect it? I'm not going to say turn it off, redirect it. You feel me? And I know that seems like this part takes up the bulk of it because it's like, if you can't get this study done, the other two don't matter. Because you're not even going to get to being able to find the next bloodline. You don't even understand how to handle war and diplomacy, bro. Because you're not studying war and diplomacy. You niggas is reading the 48 Laws of Power. Like weirdos, because y'all think that's how... Y'all are reading the 48 Laws of Power and the art of war without understanding what these shits are supposed to do. 48 Laws of Power is about diplomacy. The art of war is about war. You feel what I'm saying? Y'all using the 48 Laws of Power to get bitches. Nigga, what? To manipulate women into liking you. You a cornball, bro. Like, why the fuck are you using the 48 Laws of Power? And ladies ain't supposed to be listening anyway, so for a conversation. Why the fuck you using the 48 Laws of Power to get bitches, nigga? Of all the shit you can do with it, you use it to get bitches, nigga. And who you end up following? The red pill niggas. And these niggas are all motherfuckers that ain't built for war and have no diplomacy. That's why they're the passive aggressive niggas and shit. That's who they are. That's why the media is pushing that. Because it's like, those niggas don't study war and diplomacy. And if they do study war and diplomacy, it's to enact it on women. Seek vengeance on women that curved them in school. Bitch, what? That's why I had that episode on the Pookies and the Ray Rays. Niggas never talked to the Pookies and the Ray Rays. Now you understand why they didn't talk to Pookies and the Ray Rays? I'm not just saying it because I was Ray Ray growing up. I'm not just saying it because of that. But I'm saying it for the truth. They don't talk to the Pookies and the Ray Rays. The very niggas that they keep complaining about, okay, the shorties got knocked up by this. Why aren't you talking to him? Yo, you fucked the bitch that I wanted to get. No, you don't say that. You say, you fuck with the niggas that wasn't shit. No, you won't tell the niggas, yo, you fucked up the women that I used to want. You can't talk to them because they're going to tell you, yo, fuck you and that bitch. Okay. You don't know, like, you don't have the war and the diplomacy in you because you don't study this shit. So when you're not able to have to get that, you're not able to heal, you're not able to sustain your first bloodline, which is the one you come from. No other bloodline matters after that. No other bloodline matters because when you're not ready for war, when you don't study war and diplomacy, you can't go internally to fix yourself. Like how I fixed that, don't you? Like how I flipped that shit. So Frail 3, the entire book was the war and diplomacy within myself. To understand the things I had to go to war with and to also understand the things I had to be a diplomat with within myself as a man. You feel me? The shit that I had to fix from my bloodline that I was given that I didn't even have, that I had no choice in the matter of. These are the sins of the father, the decisions of previous generations that come through to create you. You feel what I'm saying? You have to stop them unless you're going to continue to create those same decisions, which now goes into after you study the war and the commerce. Now, I mean, the war and the diplomacy. Now you have to do the trade and the commerce. You feel me? The trade and the commerce is the interactions on how you get into the second bloodline, the bloodline that you're supposed to create with. The woman that you're supposed to find is tied to you studying trade and commerce. Do you see how the relationships just be all fucked up? Because niggas who haven't studied with themselves go from to trying to understand the war and diplomacy. They are taking into relationships war and diplomacy because they're not fighting the right bloodline. They're not fighting the right shit. So they're not going into trade and commerce. You see what I'm saying? Now, when we get back into an even deeper level of the shit, when you hear me talk about the three types of masculine energy, paternal, spousal, and fraternal, it also ties into this lexicon. You feel me? The paternal energy is what creates the war and the diplomacy. The spousal energy is the trade and the commerce. The fraternal energy is the art and the music. We bypass all of that shit. And because we attempt to start off from the fraternal energy, we don't move into the other three energies to know how to strengthen the fraternal energy. So we end up being playful all the fucking time. We never get spousal energy. We never get paternal energy. So if we're looking from the spousal energy side and we're looking at the second bloodline that you're supposed to be, now, like I said, once you get to that point of the war and diplomacy to where you heal yourself and you fix the shit, that's what So Frail was all about. From beginning to end. The definition, the resolution, the acknowledgement, the resolution. You feel me? I had to go to war with myself and then be diplomatic within myself in order to how to go to war with the world and be diplomatic within the world. You dig what I'm saying? And it's in this development, it's in these moments where I was able to see, okay, in my own bloodline, what do I keep? What do I get rid of? You feel what I'm saying? Like I said, when I started getting into religion, it made me a bitch. I can't, that, it may make you stronger. It may make you whatever. It made me a bitch, bro. It made me a bitch. And I didn't like the bitch that it made. Straight up. So it's like I had to put it down because I realized, oh, this is an emasculating thing. It takes away your ability to analyze and deconstruct your world. If you can't analyze and deconstruct your world, you can't study war and diplomacy. Because everything starts with studying. And analyzing and deconstructing is how you study. If you're not analyzing and deconstructing, you just synthesizing and constructing with shit that you have no idea about. What do you create? Fantasy. So now let's move into the second part. We did enough talking about the war and diplomacy. Now, if we go into the study of the trade and the commerce, I have to use myself as an example. So Frail, let me look at it like this. The war and the diplomacy would be So Frail series. You feel me? The trade and the commerce, mastering the market. But in order to do that, you have to learn how, one, to sell yourself. You have to learn how to buy and sell, produce and consume. This is why I got a podcast episode on this too, producers and consumers. When you're at that phase, when you're going through that part of the war is done. Now you're able to, now when you solidified the war, you built the fortress, you built these things. Now you can go into the trade and the commerce. What is trade and commerce? All niggas know how to do is consume and spend. You feel me? Therefore, you don't have anything to trade. If they took away all of the money right now, what would you give? What would you give for what you need to receive? That's what it is to be like. The money is just the buffer to let niggas not, to make sure niggas can go to work and collect that to go. You collect that for the people that actually do trade and commerce. You feel what I'm saying? You go to work, they print out slips of paper for you so that way they are able to run their trades and commerce. You feel what I'm saying? You don't matter in any of this shit. You feel me? But as a man, you have to understand that level. You have to study that level. What is trading? You feel me? And so when I teach it, shameless plug, it ain't even so shameless, nigga. It's my shit. When I teach about trading and I teach about that, they'll call it investing. Yeah, give us your money. We'll put it in for this long run and we're going to trade it while you're investing it. And we're going to give you a small percentage of it that you don't even know. We're making exorbitant amounts off your investment. You don't even realize it because we're giving you dividends. We're giving you little shit in between time. We're not telling you how deep it is that we're trading this money because people don't know what's going on. Remember when the Forex boom happened in like 2015? That happened. The Forex boom, the Forex shit that happened with the telegrams and shit, it happened the exact same way the podcast shit happened. Do you know why? Because if we flood the market, we will hide the people that actually have something to have. We will hide the people that are actually involved in trading positive information. We will hide the people that are able to actually talk about and do what's going on. So when Forex happened, I was talking to so many people and they were like, yo, you gotta, I gotta pay monthly for your shit. No, but no. I mean, I got a monthly option if you can't afford it flat out, where, you know, you pay 3 installments or some shit over 3 months, but that's it. Like, well, I got to talk to my wife or whatever because I don't know if we should invest in doing a monthly, I'm like, it's not a telegram. I said, I teach you how to read the markets. Like, what are you talking about? They're like, so when do we start? Like, day one, nigga, what do you mean? So I don't give you signals. I don't do none of that shit. I teach you how to read the shit. Right? This is going to be a very, very impactful segment of this episode going forward. So when that happened, everybody was just joining telegrams and shit. And it was like, yo, these niggas was showing y'all demo accounts saying this is what you could be making. I never showed a demo account. I never showed a single account. I just showed the process on what it is. I have webinars up right now, free webinars. You can click them, go through, and you can see what I do. This is why I don't drop my prices anymore, because now that I'm solidified, like I said, within the full scope of everything that I've been building that ties into this episode, I got to the point now where it's like my branding, my advertising, marketing is like I got everything set up so I could just post and go. But to the core of it all, it's like watching how everybody just wanted the easy route. It already set me up to understand you guys haven't even, as men, I'm not even talking about the women that are in the courses and shit, y'all haven't even gone through the war and the diplomacy yet. And now you're skipping to the trade and commerce. This is why you want the easy way out. This is why you are not able to endure the lessons that it takes to actually study it and practice it. But then it ties into trade and commerce. When you start lowering your prices and you let people in that don't know how to do this, that don't have the intention on doing this, it dilutes your product because they don't finish the shit. So therefore they can't give you reviews on shit, but they don't finish the shit. But when it came to trading, it's like I was looking at it like how I learned it is through Forex. But like I said, to the point, when all of the Forex booms happened, it did that because they said, we're going to make sure niggas don't get into the trade for real. You think stocks are what they are? No, all of that shit is just recordations bullshit. Like, if you understand Forex, and I am plugging, if you understand Forex, everything else makes sense. Everything else makes so much more sense. Because Forex, the strength of Forex, it teaches you the commerce and trading between the economies. Like, people be like, I ask people like, what are you trading? Well, I'm trading Euro USD right now. Why? Well, it's liquid. You feel me? It's a lot. It's a lot of activity. I can get in and get out, but why are you trading it? From a trading and commerce perspective, why are you trading it? I've gotten so fluent with the shit, with the understanding of it. It's like when you're trading Forex, it's two economies going together. So when I look at the US dollar, it's getting strong, and they be like, well, the stock market is crashing, then go to Forex. If you want, like, move your, like, it's a rhythm. When you see the stock market crash, you see the US dollar get stronger. So now you pair a strong US dollar with another economy whose stocks are crashing, and you merge them. Simple. Like, all of the data is right there. It's right fucking there in the charts. So, like, I'll talk to people and they'll talk about, I've been researching this stock for this amount. I don't research shit for no months at a time because all of the research is done. All of the research is done within price action. You feel what I'm saying? This is trade and commerce. Like, the big motherfuckers who are moving the markets, they understand this. They're like, yo, I'm not buying this at this price. I'm not buying this at this price. And it's like, all right, well, cool. Well, what prices are you niggas agreeing on? Because that's what I want to fuck with. You feel what I'm saying? Oh, you selling it off. You don't want that? Okay, cool. I don't want it either. Why would I buy it? You feel me? But if you're selling it, let me sell with you, bro. You feel me? I was just talking to somebody and they were telling me, oh, the markets are crashing. I was like, are you buying put options? Nah, I don't really do options. They scare me because you don't know how to trade. The thing about trading is not just I buy low, sell high. I have to know why I'm buying low and why I'm selling high. Like, why does it even make sense for me to do this? You feel what I'm saying? If you don't understand that part of why it makes sense to do it, it won't make sense to do it. You can buy in whenever you want. If there's no activity for it to move, it won't fucking move. A trade will not happen. You feel what I'm saying? To trade something means that both parties identify that we have a mutual benefit in this. This is why when I say to the Euro USD example, and then I'm going to go into stocks and I'm going to go into crypto as well. To the Euro USD example, if the US dollar is strong and the euro is weak, that means the Euro USD pair is going to go down. You're getting both indications that it's going to go down. The US dollar market is getting stronger, which means that the stocks are crashing. Why? Because people are taking their money out of the stock market, and the money they're pulling out of the stock market is giving value. It's taking value away from businesses and putting value back into the currency. Simple. In the euro side, the euro is weak. The euro is weak because its economy is now pushing money back into its stock market. You see what I'm saying? And I'm going to get to that when I go to the stocks or whatever. So now when these two things collide, now this allows me to say, okay, euro says we want to get rid of euro. We're selling off the euro because we're pumping back into the stock market. The US dollar says, we're pulling money out of our stock market to make our dollar stronger. Let's pair together because we want to go in the same direction. So if Euro USD says sell, you sell and you go with it because the trade is convenient. Everybody's saying we want this trade commerce to work. How do we make it work? And it's like, well, we're going to make it work because you want to go in the same direction that I want to go. And our economies are telling us that we're going in the same direction. So we're going to trade and make the transaction occur. Right? That's Forex. Now within the stock market, that's a level below. Everything that happens in the stock market dictates what the US dollar is going to be. So when they say, I keep hearing people think that when the stock market crashes, that the US dollar is getting weak. It's backwards. It's the opposite of that. It's the opposite of that. When you see the stock market crash, they be like, oh, the US dollar is getting stronger when the stock market crashes because it's called a cross rate expression. Fancy thing for a currency pair. You can call it whatever you want. But when you look at the name, say you look at Apple, they just put Apple on your charts. It's a reason why they just put Apple on your chart because they don't want you to know that you're trading Apple Corporation, Apple stock against the US dollar currency. You know why they don't put it up there? Because it's understood. It's like putting a numerator, having a numerator with a denominator of 1. You don't need to put the 1 there because it's going to always be the numerator. You feel what I'm saying? So they don't put the US dollar on it because all of the stocks are moved with the US dollar. If you had that little tidbit of information, it'll change your reality because now you say, now here's the conversion. If Apple stock is weak, if Apple stock is weak and US dollar is weak, I get a range because there's indecision in the market or the quote unquote consolidation. But I can know now whether or not my Apple is going to move, my Apple stock is going to move based off the strength of the US dollar. If Apple stock is weak and US dollar is strong, Apple's going down. If Apple stock is strong and US dollar is weak, Apple's going up. Because what they're doing is we now see how this currency is moving across this economy. And from it moving across this economy, we're going to bring it back into our markets. You feel me? And they work in the synergistic way. So when you see the US dollar getting strong, okay, something's going to sell. Where are you selling in the markets? That's when you go into the indices. Look at Dow Jones, NASDAQ, S&P. If it's a NASDAQ going down, go find a NASDAQ stock and dump that bitch. That's what they're doing. You feel me? And it goes by the layers. You feel me? You find something in the Dow Jones, you go to the New York Stock Exchange and say, what's dropping? I'm going to drop it and I'm going to move with this and I'm going to find what works with me. You feel what I'm saying? Now, crypto is different because crypto takes the currencies of all of the currencies. Crypto is, crypto is hidden because Bitcoin against the yen, Bitcoin against the euro, Bitcoin against the Aussie, Bitcoin against the Swiss franc. It's always going to, Bitcoin is still moving the same direction. So now when you consider how each of the, like how the stocks can, how can I explain this? So now for the crypto side, you have to now correlate the currency with the actual stocks to see how things are going to move, right? Because there has to come a point when all currencies are weak in comparison to cryptocurrency in order for crypto to move. That's how you know how much money is being moved in crypto. That's why it just dropped from fucking, what is it? It was like 183,000 or something like that, down to 66. It just dropped because why? Every currency, every economy has pulled their money out of Bitcoin. Not just the United States. Niggas in the United States, they arrogant. They think, oh, this is just us. We're the only ones in on this. No, you're not. No, you're not. This is for everybody. Now, because everybody's money now moves into it, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are the center now. Got to see it coming, but you still got to know how to read it. So when you have a weak cryptocurrency, like when you see a cryptocurrency dropping like Bitcoin is doing right now, then you go to Forex. And now you go to that Forex buffer and say, all of you economies are pulling out your money right now. Now, who's strong, who's weak within that? Because you're moving your money from cryptocurrency back into the foreign exchange, and now you're trading back here, right? Now, from that, I'm going to go in and see what your individual stock market is looking like. You feel what I'm saying? What your stock indices is looking like. And then I'm able to make that trade. So now I have a insight as to whether or not this is really going to move the way that I need to move. All I do is cheat this shit, bro. And it ain't cheating. It's just understanding the trade and studying trade and fucking commerce, bro. Trade and commerce. My dad was supposed to do that. At second generation, he was supposed to do that before I came into this plane. His dad was supposed to do that for him. His dad was supposed to do that for him. We keep having to start over because we're not doing the trade and the commerce right. So now, when you're looking at that, tying it into the spousal energy and shit, you have now, we're at the point where we've studied the war and the diplomacy. Now we have the trade and the commerce. War and diplomacy leads to trade and commerce. Once we have diplomacy, once we fight wars or whatever the case may be, now once we have decided on diplomacy, now we could be civil enough to trade and be amicable with each other and generate commerce. We can create our necessary allyships and allegiances and all of that other shit. And we can decide, okay, here's the tariffs. Here's what you got to pay to get me this, that, and the third. That's when you reach that level. Who sits at that level? The average human, the average citizen doesn't sit there because they don't know to sit there. They don't know to sit there because they're not designed to sit there. You feel what I'm saying? And now it's like, I have to put this into the reality of the government. My studying of trade and commerce belongs to the government. Just take my money, pay my taxes, go to work and do that. And you do everything else and allow me to get an allowance to buy what I need to buy throughout the, cool. But you don't understand trade and commerce. You don't understand trade and commerce. And that's something that you need to study in order to allow the next generation to have the art and the music. Why? Because the art is the creation of science. Art is scientific creativity. Art and science are the one and the same thing. And the reason why I said music, because music is not necessarily the instruments and all of the shit. Music is harmony, is rhythm. But specifically, I want to talk about the art side of it. Because now when you talk about, oh, we need people, we're creating STEM. STEM is nothing but art. Now, matter of fact, they've added art to STEM. I think it's STEAMA now, or STEAM, one of the two. But they added art to it: science, technology, engineering, and math, and art. Because if you do not have the capacity to unite all of the scientific shit, it's useless. Now, this is where the psycho now comes in. Because after you get the trade and the commerce, you create the realm. And this is where the next generation is. Hold on, I'm jumping. Because I didn't even make the parallelism between the relationship that you're supposed to be in when you're at the second level studying the trade and the commerce. So when you find your significant other, and you're looking for your significant other, you're going to find that person in regards to your understanding of trade and commerce. You're going to find that person according to your understandings of trade and commerce. That's what your healthy relationship. Why do what? 70% of marriages end in divorce because of what? Money? Niggas think it's money. It ain't money. It ain't financial woes. It's the inability to understand trade and commerce. That's it. Because when the money moves, you have to be able to move with it at all times, because you can't depreciate the value of your money. So you have to figure out, okay, my money's going to be depreciating now. How do I offset it? You dig what I'm saying? So if the US dollar is crashing, let's say the US dollar is going weak, and now I'm looking at the stock market and saying it's going down now too. Oh shit, I don't need to fuck with that, because that's indecision in the market. Now, let me find something that can pair with the US dollar. My US dollar is weak. The Swiss franc is strong. Let me hold my money in Swiss francs for a little bit. So that way, when the US dollar recovers and it does what it's going to do, now I can move my money back to the US dollar and I didn't lose anything. The inflation doesn't bother me. I inflate with inflation. And again, I know I said I'm not opening that course back up, because I'm not. I'm done. Not that y'all did anything or anything like that. It's just I'm in a space I don't have the time no more. Whoever got the benefit from inflate with inflation, cool. But at the end of the day, it's deeper. This shit is deeper. I can't just. The trading and the e-commerce side of studying that is different. But you have to understand it. But like, I teach you how to read it. You know, and it's like everybody that joins my course, they be like, are we going to talk about stock? Like, you have to learn Forex first. Stocks will not make sense to you if you don't learn Forex. Everybody that I have taught the Forex to and through Mastering the Market, they're like, I tell them by the end of it, I'm like, yo, if you just understand the strength of the dollar, all that other shit, like studying the stock, looking at the P&L ratio, you'll see that it's all right there. You want to see what it's going to be for the quarterly? Just look at 3-month candles, three monthly candles, and then you can break it down on the daily and see exactly what the data is saying. Like I show you how to do all of the shit that they're doing. I just show you how to read it. You feel me? So, but you got to start with Forex, because Forex is the only place where trade actually happens. Trade and commerce. You look at it and say the US dollar is at $1, right? Is at 100 today, but in comparison to the yen, it's weak. It's not okay. Cool. So now, what is it happening between the countries who use the U.S. dollar and the countries who use the Japanese yen? What is happening between them? You feel me? Niggas like, yo, the stock market is crashing. The stock market is crashing because Forex is strengthening. You feel me? The stock market is getting strong because the U.S. dollar is getting weak. Simple. This is what I was just telling motherfuckers. I was like, yo, we just started, because this is 2026. We just started. We're in an open 5-year candle, which is halfway through a decade candle. So that's why you see a lot of this volatility, the crashing and shit. The bigger players they're like, okay, for the next 5 years, what are we going to do? How do you analyze a 5-year chart? You got to first learn how to understand the daily chart. You have to first understand how to understand daily commerce to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Because JP Morgan Chase said, billionaires don't use accountants, they use astrology. This shit is all written in the motherfucking stars. This shit is written according to how the lunar cycles move. That's how they all move, to the astrology. And they just use outer belt astrology, which just give you the 5-year runs, 10-year runs, 20-year runs and shit. And they move their money for that long. Because they like the Warren Buffetts, they have the money to do so. They know when it's time to sell. And they know when it's time to buy. And you need to be in a space where you move with that. But you got to go through and study trade and fucking commerce after you understand war and diplomacy. You feel me? So in finding your significant other, it's like, oh, we got to go half. Like now we have this problem where they say, you know, you have one side, oh, she ain't got to go half. She got to go this, that, and the third. It's like, all of y'all are speaking from a level where you understand riches. You don't understand trade and commerce. You understand having riches, but you don't understand trade and commerce. Trade and commerce sit far beyond wealth. Wealth is a factor. Wealth is Wealth is a result or a consequence of understanding trade and commerce. That's a bar, my nigga. That's a bar. Wealth is a byproduct of understanding trade and commerce. When we keep saying shit like, yo, eat the rich, the wealthy this, you can't get wealthy doing things by whatever means or whatever case may be. See the point? That's why you need to understand war and diplomacy. Understand war and diplomacy, the trade and the commerce makes sense. We decide, because we dictate war and diplomacy, we decide, is this diplomatic or is this at war? Like, we'll get away with it. Because we're writing the rules. You feel what I'm saying? And now you go into the trade and commerce. Now you look at the relationships. Yeah, motherfuckers saying, nah, bro, you got to take care of your whole woman and go whole and all this shit. I'm with all of that. I'm with all of the shits. Cool. If that's what you feel like you want to do, you're the protector, whatever the case may be. How much can you provide if you don't understand trade and commerce? What do you do when look at the economy right motherfucking now? You see all of that. I go whole. I do all of this shit. It's impossible now. It's impossible now. You feel what I'm saying? It's damn near impossible now, my nigga. Because you don't understand trade and commerce. You're like, oh, the economy's crashing. You would have saw it coming. We did. My master and the market students who finished the courses did. Because I showed them, like, yo, this is what's supposed to happen. Just be prepared to be in position. That's it. Move with these niggas. Because they're telling you how they gonna move. They don't just move crazy. You feel what I'm saying? And it's moving this way because they understand trade and commerce. They understand the emotional side of trade and commerce. They understand that the humans don't understand trade and commerce. And because niggas don't understand trade and commerce, their relationships won't be right. So as men, if you're not understanding trade and commerce, you're not even going to pick the right woman to even enter the right bloodline with. So much so, niggas be like, yo, how do we have so many babies, mamas, and shit like that? Cause, nigga, you didn't even For one, you never studied the war and diplomacy of yourself. And to master and to strengthen your own first bloodline before even thinking about considering yourself to be a father yet. You feel what I'm saying? So now you don't even understand trade and commerce, and you go and just lay down with somebody. The woman that I have to procreate with, she has to be in the very alignment with my trade and commerce. You feel me? Like motherfuckers be like, yo, what if she don't want to trade? She can't fuck with me. Because this is what we have to collaborate to do in order to make sure our kids can produce art and science. I mean, to produce art and music. Like, you don't have to be a rapper. You don't have to be a singer. You don't have to be a painter. You don't have to do that. But you have to be able to take science and be creative with it. That's art. That's art. Which means that I have to go through the war to develop the diplomacy, to solidify the trading and the trading and the commerce in order to create an environment in which you're able to be creative with science. That's man shit, nigga. Niggas keep talking about the bullshit about, yo, I got to protect and provide. I got to be the man. It's like, and that's why you stressed out. You didn't prepare to be a father. You could be a man with kids, but preparing to be a father is ties into this. This is paternal energy that we talking about right now. Paternal energy is designed to go for war and diplomacy. Paternal energy is designed to understand, to study trade and commerce. Paternal energy is to study the science and the art, the science and the music, to be able to give it back. You have to create a world, bro. Again, 3 bloodlines you're responsible for. Every generation, we got to start from scratch. People think we're like poverty is not an accident, nigga. Poverty is a byproduct of not understanding trade and commerce. So now when we talk about the 1%, it's like the world is ruled by 1% of a handful of people. these niggas play the game and they understand trading commerce. Everybody who starts to learn trading commerce, poverty, it's impossible to be in poverty when you understand trading commerce. It's inevitable to be in poverty when you don't understand trading commerce. I don't care how much money you earn. It's impossible to be in poverty when you understand trading commerce. It is inevitable to be in poverty when you don't understand trading commerce. This is why they trade and they do the commercial shit for you. They don't want you to know. Because when you understand how trade and commerce actually works, you know when to move your money, how to move your money, and for how long, to what extent to move your fucking money. And that allows you to now find the right person who can understand trade and commerce with you. I remember I was talking to the shorty one time, and this was when I was first learning trading and investing. You know, I had made my first investment on a silver ETF. I ain't know shit about shit. I just bought it. You feel me? And then I had bought a stock called PLX around the same time. That PLX stock boomed to like $3,500 by March. I bought it in December, and then by March it had boomed to $3,500. I was like, I gotta learn how to do this. I like this shit. I gotta learn how to actually do this shit to be on both sides, because I had another stock that did a reverse split, lost money and shit. But hey, I lost $800 on that stock that did a reverse split and fell, but I made $3,500 on a random stock that I just bought in because it was low. You feel me? But then I realized cheap prices ain't necessarily low prices. And, you know, a lot of the shit that I teach y'all in Mastering the Market and shit. But shorty was talking to me and I was like, yeah, you know, what do you, she said, I just rather give you the money and let you do it. No, I don't know what you ladies think that I'm out here trying to build, but you are not just going to be sitting on like some shit and thinking you can, like, no, like, you have to be able to match me. Because if I'm gone, if now this goes into the next stage of the bloodline and shit, if I'm gone, how do you continue without me? That's the purpose of understanding trade and commerce. Whether I'm there or not, you can continue without me. If I'm the head and it gets hit, the sheep gonna scatter like a motherfucker. What, you gonna rely on shit that I've done already? And it's, oh, I wish I would have learned. I could have learned. I should have. No. If you're not willing to understand trade and commerce the way that I have understood trade and commerce, we're not gonna work. This episode has really just showed me in real time at this very moment why I have not been able to get to that next level. Because every time I talk to somebody, that part comes up. And I'm looking at them and it's like, yo, you're not understanding trade and commerce. I know, because you don't have any assets that you developed. You don't have any IP that you turned into assets. You feel what I'm saying? And you don't understand the full dynamic of that trading system. Well, everybody ain't entrepreneurs. You don't have to be an entrepreneur, but entrepreneurial spirit, entrepreneurship, I don't know why I say ism, entrepreneurship emerges when you understand trade and commerce. It just happens. Because you understand I have to have something to trade. I have to have something to commercialize. I have to have something to sell. You feel me? So it's like, what IP do you have? I've always encouraged people to simple shit. I'm like, yo, shorty, write a book or something. You can write a book. You can do, you don't have to do, like, you have skills you can teach. You can do everything. And I can teach you how to monetize it, whatever the case may be. But it's like, I got to a point where I've transcended and evolved beyond the pure entrepreneur side. And it's like, no, nigga, once you understand trade and commerce, entrepreneurship is default. Like, that's all. Like, I live by this motto. If you fail enough at something, right? And if you fail at everything, if you find, let me say it this way. If you find every way to fail, all that's left is how you succeed. Right? If you understand trade and commerce, understanding trade and commerce, you will literally see every way that you can fail and succeed. Because trade and commerce works both ways. In order for trade and commerce to actually have a thing, somebody has to win and somebody has to lose every time. In order for trade and commerce, somebody has to win and somebody has to lose. But if you look at it from a winners and a loser perspective, and not look at it from a perspective of, how do I turn my loss into a win when you're winning, and use your win to strengthen my loss? That's what trading is. The US dollar is weak. It's dropping. The euro is strong. How do I use that strong euro, knowing that the US dollar is weak, it's not going to give it any friction? How do I use that to make my US dollar stronger? Do you feel what I'm saying? Trading and understanding trading and commerce allows you to understand how to transmute wins and losses, because it has to be done that way. Becoming an entrepreneur is automatic. Those are the only people who trade. Because you have to understand how are you going to make certain connections and build certain rhythms without this. Then you have the people, I'm comfortable with the job. Cool. If that's what it is, cool. If you're comfortable with the job, you do not understand the trade and the commerce. So much so that when you don't understand the trade and the commerce, you end up trading your time for money. You don't trade your assets and your resources for money. You trade your time for money. You feel me? And that's the design. It's like, yeah, let's let these motherfuckers get degrees and status and feel smart about some shit. And they'll trade that. We'll give them the skill we want them to trade for their money that we're going to give them, that they're going to give back to us. I did a dramatic pause with that because I want y'all to see in real time that's really what the fuck it is. You go to school, you get your education to get the skill to go into the field and the job. It's the field, nigga. You go into the field and the job to get the degree, to work the position they need you to work, so that way you can pay for what they need you to pay for. And you can have enough money to get your own trinkets or whatever the case may be, but your money goes back to them because they understand trade and commerce. Now, when I tell you that the US dollar is backed by the humans, backed by the people, nobody wants to believe me. If you understood trade and commerce, you would. If you understood trade and commerce and if you studied trade and commerce, you would get it. And by getting it, you would be able to know my money can move at this particular point. I need to put my money here. So now you can spend time studying art and music and being able to give it to your children. This is the third bloodline. If the second bloodline that I got to go into hasn't done their refinement, if she hasn't done her refinement and gone through her war and diplomacy within her own bloodline, it ain't going to work. She still say niggas ain't shit. She's still mad at her motherfucking daddy. She's still mad at her motherfucking mama. You feel me? It's like she keeps cutting people off and blocking people. She ain't got no good communication skills and shit. I'm not fucking with that. You're not good with war and diplomacy. As soon as a motherfucker comments something wrong on your Instagram, you blocking them. Blocked it. You got motherfuckers brag about having block lists of 3,900 people. How do you block 3,900 random niggas on social media that you'll never meet? That's crazy to me, bro. That's crazy to me. I blocked one person. I blocked two people in my whole life. And that was on my old Instagram page. One of them was my ex because we had got into it on talking about religion or some shit. So I blocked her on that because I'm like, I ain't trying to hear that shit. And the other one was this dude that had, because at this time I had put my number on I had put my phone number on Instagram to like, it was like in 2017 or some shit. I don't know how it connected, but it was like for business and shit. This nigga called me, bro. And it was like, it seemed like the nigga was shooting a shot or some shit. Like, it was weird. I was like, nigga, get the fuck off my shit. And I blocked this nigga, bro. Because I think he was like, he's like, yo, he was like, you don't speak the way you talk, but I like the way you speak. Boop, block this nigga. I don't know what the fuck you talking about, bro. But it ain't that type of party, nigga. But those are the only people that are blocked. But then I get on Threads. I get on Instagram. Motherfuckers got a whole block list. How are you, like, you see, like, as a woman, I ain't gonna say woman because we don't want to get sexist here, but as a person, you don't have the diplomacy enough to still like somebody you don't like what somebody says, somebody don't like what you say, somebody responds a certain way. Like, you can talk all the shit that you want to, throw all of the rocks you want, but then as soon as the rocks is thrown at you, you gotta block the person. How do you have a block list on a social media platform where you have over 9,000 people blocked? That's crazy to me. But it shows that you're not even done the first war. You see, I can see deep shit in subtle movements. You feel what I'm saying? I can see a lot of depth and subtle movements. When I realize that you have that level of confrontation and confrontation skills, it you don't have the diplomacy and you're not ready for war. You haven't studied it. But I get why you haven't studied it, because we continue these fucking cycles. Nobody's preparing you to study this shit. They're preparing you to be the passive aggressive person who just moves through without understanding the war and diplomacy you're going through. So as a man, if this is the woman that I want, and this is the woman that I want to be with, now I have to teach her 2 points. Now this is where it now tries in, and we're going to start trying to wrap this part up because this is getting extra long. Now I have to teach her the war and diplomacy and the commerce and trade in order for us to create the bloodline that is going to be able to get with the art and the science. Or the art and the music. But I keep saying art and science because that's really what it is. But mainly the art, right? When you meet a woman, this is what I meant when I said in Sophra 3, protector and a provider. I have to teach you how to protect and provide. I have to not only protect and provide for you, but I got to teach you how to protect and provide for yourself as if I would protect and provide for you. You'll be surprised how many women don't want to grow and how many women think they're big. They're big enough that they don't have to grow. So it's like, this is one of the things that I'm using myself as an example for this. Like, why it's been hard? Because it's like, I'm going to teach you to study the war and diplomacy. I'm going to teach you to trade in the commerce. The moment you show me you don't want to learn those things, I can't fuck with you. I'm running out of time now because none of these women want to learn these things. They're like, I'm just going to put it in your hands. No, nigga, if I die, what do you do? I need to know that my kids can be trusted with you. I need to know that I've done something enough that my kids can. Nipsey Hussle is the greatest example of that to me. In real time, that we've actually seen. You feel me? He understood the war and diplomacy. He understood the trade and the commerce. His kids now, even in his absence, could just study the art. You feel what I'm saying? Now I get it. It's, oh, they're still going to need their father. Yes, they're still going to need their father. And he look at what all of the stuff that he's already left. Interviews, podcast episodes, all of this stuff that if he's gone, he still lives through. He lives with them and through them through the things that he's put into this world. His art. You feel what I'm saying? So if I'm dealing with a woman and she's not willing to learn the war and diplomacy, she's not willing to understand the trade and the commerce, it ain't gonna work. And I don't have to ask, hey, do you want to learn war and diplomacy? And I can see if that's what you really want to learn. You got a block list of 9,000 people. War and diplomacy ain't even on your radar, baby. You feel what I'm saying? You won't go 50-50 with a man. Now I get it. Well, saying you talk about no. To go 50-50 on a relationship is mean both parties go 100%. I don't know why niggas is oblivious to that shit. I don't know why that shit's so hard to fucking comprehend. To go 50-50 on a relationship is to be 100% in on both parties. If a motherfucker has a problem with going 50-50, they don't want to be 100% in a relationship. Which means the trade and the commerce is off. Because now we're looking at it from a subtle level and we're going to look at it from an esoteric level to tie it into this. If there's days when my US dollar is weak, but your euro is strong, how do I offset that to not lose value with my US dollar? I don't. But because you don't understand the trade and the commerce, on my off days, you leave me alone. On my off days, I leave you alone. Rather than saying, yo, you weak today. Let me give you something. Let me trade a little bit and put a little bit of commerce. See, relationships is like that too. Think about how relationships are set up, just like money. Trust. You know what I'm saying? Like trust you gotta have trust in a relationship. Fucking, I don't know why I'm drawing blanks on everything else because I have a relationship episode where I actually do the parallelism between relationships and money. But trust is the biggest one. What is a trust? You feel what I'm saying? Like the fluidity of relationships is exactly related to money. And niggas wonder why they're so, because they don't understand trade and commerce. Because when you're weak, I got to be strong. When I'm strong, like we look at some people to fill our voids and say, I'm weak here and I'm not going to strengthen myself up. And you're weak here and you're not going to strengthen yourself up and we're just going to come together and be interlocking fingers. No, fuck no. I'm weak here because you're strong there now. I need to understand why you're strong so I don't get weak again. I got to trade and be commerce. We have to trade and have the commerce within relationship. You feel me? We got to relate to do that shit first. But then we don't even do that shit. Because now as we build, when you find that woman that you got to be with, you have to teach her that. Because nobody's understanding this yet. You feel me? You have to teach her that aspect in order to guide her into understanding war and diplomacy. So if we out in public and shit, and it's 7 niggas and shit, and you talking crazy, yeah, babe, shut the fuck up. Why are you talking to that? You ain't gonna do nothing about it. It's 7 niggas and it's me, and you running your motherfucking mouth and you can't fight. The fuck I'm gonna do? You still should, like, no. See, that's dangerous. A nigga that don't understand war and diplomacy. It's a lot of niggas right now that are in the dirt right now because they did something, they dueled for fucking women and shit. And I'm not saying don't fight for your women. You fight for women that know how. You fight for women that understand how you fight. You feel what I'm saying? If my shorty is with me and shit and nigga disrespect her, she's not even in the, I don't even have to say, babe, come on so I can handle it. None of that. She knows, okay, I'm going to go get the car. And I'm going to go get the car. And when I get the car, as I'm walking to get the car, I'm looking to see where the cameras are because I got to back up so they don't get the plates. So after you do what you do, hop in the car, we out. War and diplomacy. But you're going to have a chick that's just going to record it and look at you and say, what you doing? Can't trade and have commerce with that. Which means you're not even going to be able to solidify the bloodline and come together to create the next bloodline that is fueled off the war and diplomacy and the commerce and trade. Right? So that child is not going to be able to do the art. But if you're not even able to do the, like, it's wild because it's like, how was I able to start generating my art without even being in a space to, like, nobody started any of this before me. Like, my dad didn't, like, I'm literally starting while having to do the war and diplomacy, having to do the trade and the commerce, and have to create the art all at one time. Because now when I go and find my woman and it's time for me to actually build the bloodline and shit, and I have to know these things to know that, I still have to be able to know all these things so I can impart them within the son that I'm going to have and a daughter that I'm going to have. Because this shit is not gender specific. It's both sides because we are transcended beyond the hierarchy. We're in the harmony space right now. This is what masculine and feminine is. I'm going to say this and I'm going to start trying to wrap it up because this is getting extra long and I still didn't even talk about the third phase, but you can put 2 and 2 together. So when you're looking at the third bloodline and you're seeing the art that your kids have to create and everything, they are going to be able to create the art based off the science, but you have solidified such a thing that you have created the fortress based off of the war and the war and the diplomacy. You feel me? You have created the revenues and the revenue streams to solidify the trade and the commerce so you can always be in a position where when things come, you're able to pivot. You're able to understand that I need to move money here. I need to move money here. Or I need to take this asset and this resource and I need to trade for it. I need to turn it into something. You know what I'm saying? I have to give in order to take. Law of compensation. You feel me? So now when it's time for me to actually, I have to be in a space where I can commit and I can do my art in order to show somebody that they can do their art. But I have to understand what art is. You feel me? Studying art is the final piece of this shit. Art is the creativity. Art is scientific creativity. That's it. You need a science before you can be artistic. You need a science before you can be artistic. When I tell people about like the writing and shit, like, oh yeah, you can rap, but I'm a writer because I understand the English language. It's beyond just that. Like the science of the English language, I infuse into the art that makes me rap, that makes me poetic, that makes me do these things. You feel what I'm saying? I don't just write because it's like, yo, I can rap. No, nigga, I understood this shit. And I understand that the more science that I develop and the depth in which I'm able to go with science, the more art that I can create. The art that I can create is where I solidify the wealth. Do you feel what I'm saying with that? Art is what creates wealth. They have fucked up the game so much with the semantics of like, yo, get real. An artist is not, no. An artist that has become creativity, has become creative with the science that they have explored, will always be able to generate wealth when they understand certain things, right? Case in point, hitting it raw is my expression, is my artistic thing. I got my music and I'm doing that with all of that, but hitting it raw was the actual art that I created with my science. I was talking to my brother. He was like, bro, you got a whole degree and you're not using it. I said, I used it. Everything I learned as a forensic biologist, everything I learned from med school, everything I learned in all school, that I condensed it into a 70-page ebook and I could sell it. Only thing is, I had to learn, in addition to that art, how do you
You have to now go into, it comes back to the full cycle. Because this is why every generation still has their own war and diplomacy they have to make. Because once you get your art and you know how your art is, now you have to go back into the war and diplomacy. Because I got to know how to sell it. I have to know how to put it in the market. I have to know who's in competition with what I'm doing. I have to know how to separate myself from the competition. It gives me a new level of war and diplomacy for my life. Set it off my art. Then I'm able to get more into the once I get the war and diplomacy off my art, then I'm able to get into the trade and the commerce of it. And then the next generation can start their art and go from there. We keep starting from the war instead of starting from the art. It's a cycle. It's a circle. Don't get me wrong. But each generation, you're supposed to start from your art, which means you're supposed to gain your science first and get your art. And then from your art, you protect it with the war and the diplomacy. You expand it with the trade and the commerce for somebody else to create their art. And that's what it is as a man to have 3 bloodlines. And that's what it is to have 3 studies.
And don't forget to check out Polycafe Clothing, formerly Just Scenes merch. Get all of your intricate designs crafted specifically for the melanated being to develop a positive imagery within self and to have a little bit of fun in the process. From the peace, love, knowledge, and freedom to the dead horses and water designs, all of the styles are crafted for the imagery to make you feel as you're supposed to feel. Because as I always say, the best way to fit in is to stand out. And what better way to stand out than with your exclusive styles from Polycafe Clothing.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Yeah, that's the 3 studies, bro. As men, we have to get to a point where we fully understand that. You know what I'm saying? The bloodlines that we're supposed to create are only supposed to they're supposed to build off of our war and our trade, our war in diplomacy and trade and commerce so that they, and leverage our science, our artistic expression in order to start their artistic expression. Your child ain't supposed to go to school to get a good job to make you proud or to complete what you failed at. You're supposed to know your child so well and train them in the way that they should go, right? And when you train them in the way that they should be going, you understand who they are and what science they're gravitating towards. See, children, they're gonna exhibit their art from the jump, which is gonna expose their science. I've been a talkative motherfucker all my life. I've been a philosophical motherfucker all my life. I've been a wordsmith all my life, and everybody knew it. Oh, you ahead of your time. You just wise and this, that, or third. Why are y'all not nurturing that for me? You feel me? Somehow I knew to nurture it the way that I needed to nurture it, but it now goes into when you understand what the art is, now you exhibit the science. Teach them the science that correlates with their art. In order for you to see their art, you have to master your art. You feel what I'm saying? And art, like I said, is just being creative with the science. Feeling what the fuck you know and creating off of what you know. And as you give it to your child is able to build and move forward. And that creates the 3 studies. As men, this is the war we got to go through. And this is why I mentioned this at the beginning when they were like, yo, women, they die, on a birth table and shit and everything like that. And it was that led me understand it's like, when I'm ready to have my kid, it'll be an equal sacrifice for both of us. My kids, however many I have, is going to be equal sacrifice because I had to give up my life in order to obtain this. And you have to, we were both in a sense risking our lives just from different dynamics. You feel me? And if she's not able to be in a space where she can understand what it is, it's like, yo, why are we having a kid? Because I like you and you like me and we might make a beautiful baby. Is your war and diplomacy, is your study of war and diplomacy on par with mine? No babies. Is your understanding of trade and commerce on par with mine? No babies. Is your understanding of the science of the study of the arts the same as mine? No babies. Why? Because it's going to be a defeated purpose that's going to keep us in poverty and produce another cycle of bullshit. As a man, it's on me to understand that I'm responsible for 3 bloodlines, just as a woman is responsible for 3 bloodlines. And we don't realize that. When a woman is pregnant, there's 3 bloodlines. The bloodline, that's her. She has to keep her own physical body alive. Feed it the right nutrition. Give it the and especially if it's with a girl. Let's say she's with a girl, right? The first bloodline is her. She's alive. She has to keep herself alive. She has to eat right. She has to take her prenatal. She has to do everything that is designed to make sure this baby goes through every stage of development correctly, effectively, and without, any harm, any foul, right? That's the first one. If she has a daughter, as that daughter matures, she's already being born with all 3 eggs, the eggs that she's going to have for the rest of her life. That's 3 generations. Women are responsible for 3 bloodlines, and men are responsible for 3 bloodlines. You feel what I'm saying? Men are responsible for a guaranteed 3 bloodlines. Women are responsible for 2 and a possible. Because if it's a boy, that's not. If it's a boy, no, it is still 3. Because if she has a boy, now it's still. She has to worry about her, him, and then his responsibility as a bloodline officiator, because he has to keep their bloodline alive and make sure that he's not moving into a bloodline that doesn't align with the bloodline he comes from. There's a lot to that. This is why men and women are supposed to fucking be together. This is why you're supposed to raise babies with a man in the home. This is why you can't be a single woman that can do the shit by your motherfucking self. And I get it. Circumstances force you to do that shit. Sometimes men ain't shit. Sometimes men die. Sometimes there's things that leave a woman to raise. But they created the design like this so that way there is no war and diplomacy to lead to the trade and commerce to make sure the babies can exhibit the art. You feel what I'm saying? Now we got it, and it's so motherfucking fucked up. All the artists are mentally ill. We don't even realize that. We send our babies to school as artists, ready to learn science to apply their art. We send them to school as that, and they get mental health. They get mental disorders. You get ADHD, you get depression, you get anxiety, you get autism. You got like some motherfuckers. Like, I get some motherfuckers ain't autistic. It's so many motherfuckers that keep saying, "Oh, I'm autistic now. Oh, I'm neurodivergent." All of that shit is bullshit. All of that shit is just a way to chronicleize the fact that you go into a school system as an artist and you leave however the fuck you leave. You go into the school system as an artist looking to explore science so that way you can create art with, but because you don't understand war and diplomacy, you're sending your kids to be taught by an enemy. You don't understand trade and commerce, you have to send your kid to your enemies to be taught. And you don't understand that the art side is what is leading to their mental health issues. Oh, I'm depressed because you can't fucking express yourself. Oh, he's hyper. He has anxiety. I have anxiety because I know what I want to create. Now I'm scared to create it. You feel me? You don't pay attention. You have a hard time paying attention because this has absolutely nothing to do with the art that I'm supposed to be creating. It's right there, but it ain't right there because we are in a war zone and we don't even understand the war and the diplomacy. And as men, we keep starting over and over again. And we lose the fight because we don't have any predecessors to give us a system to help us fight. You feel me? Or to create the diplomacy. You feel me? Because religion makes you a son, not a man. So you're always going to go to another man that's superior to you and follow their cult, follow their organization, and get lost in it and say, I'm only going to take the advice from him. I respect the Nation of Islam. I respect the whole system. I got love for their structure and everything like that. But at the same time, for every man, every time they speak, to always say the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says this, that, and the third, there's something wrong with that. He had his quotes, he had his ideas, and he was good person in many regards. You know, he's leader or whatever. But at the same time, we keep having newer generations that say the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this. They didn't even hear him say it. They read what he said. And now it's like we're coming into an issue where how many more generations are going to keep saying that? To where now he now supersedes as becoming a person and becomes a deity to these people. It's war and diplomacy. And this is how religion plays out. As black men, Jesus say this, the Bible say that. It's the same shit. It's the same shit. For real. Because you're not able to go through the study of war and diplomacy. Therefore, you have religion. Bypass the war. You feel me? You rely on hope and faith instead of understanding trade and commerce. You realize all of this shit is in your hands. Therefore, you don't have the art to do what you need to do. But they exploit it, and that's why they create entertainment. See, because our art is what it is because we have a different proclivity to science and we don't even realize it. Niggas learn how to cook crack without going to chemistry. Okay? There's a running phrase that if niggas didn't think gymnastics was gay, they dominated. Niggas learn how to flip on a dirty mattress. You feel what I'm saying? Like, shit different. Because we already have a different level of science that we can use and make the art. But we don't understand the other two things that we got to study as men in order to produce the next things. So, what does that mean? Now we get crazy baby mamas. Now we don't actually have women. Now we're not able to have platonic relationships with women because everything is about sex and breeding and shit like that. And then when we do have sex, when we do actually connect and create women, what are we looking at for these women? You feel me? We're looking at these relationships as, you know what? I just wanted to have my baby. What principles does she stand on? Are you willing to protect and no, I'm just going to make sure that she sees to. No, nigga. Now you got to change her nutrition. You got to make sure she's eating right. But you got to understand this shit for yourself in order to continually create an art with all that you know. Everything that is in your mind, you know, is a science, and it is on you to continually create art. You see how the synergy works? It's a synergy, bro, which creates harmony, which means now you move into the real aspect of harmony of masculine and feminine. You're no longer in dominion and hierarchy. Niggas can't leave. In hierarchy for dominion and submission. Niggas can't leave that shit. I'm glad I had this episode. Because it needed to be said, because this is what you're seeing play out in real time and why they are so pressed on making sure men aren't men. Niggas don't go to war and like all of this shit is analysis and deconstruction at its finest, bro. And now you see, as men, this is what you tasked with, the 3 bloodlines that you tasked with. And now you know the 3 things that you got to study. It's mandatory. Everything else that you study and you learn is solely for one of those 3 places. And it all comes back down to the art that you got to create. And your art is how you apply your science. For me, my art is my podcast, my art is my books, my art is my music. I've learned how to take everything that I've learned and create an art to it, but I also had to learn the war and diplomacy. I ain't no fucking people pleaser, nigga. I don't give a fuck if you like what I talk about. Oh, I gotta block you. I don't have a block list, nigga. I don't give a fuck, nigga. You're gonna fall off my radar after a while because I don't give a fuck about what you talking about. You feel what I'm saying? That's a part of my diplomacy and my ability to go to war. But it's like, can you really go to war? If you have to be quiet about what you're saying, like this is why it was always so important for rap artists to have their masters. But what are you doing like with it? Like, you know what I'm saying? What is your art and how are you supposed to exhibit and what are you getting out to the world? So all of these things, these are part of my art, but it comes from the science that I had to develop. But then it comes from me understanding trade and commerce. Because I had to realize, in order for me to be able to be artistic and use my science in a healthy way, I have to understand trade and commerce so that way the money that I move has to remain fluid. You feel what I'm saying? And money and relationships, trade and commerce is tied to each other, bro. Trust, bonds, appreciation. You feel me? A lot of the words that we use in fucking relationships and are tied to money. Why? Now you see why the second level of your bloodline, which is the bloodline you connect with, is so important and why it struggles and why money is the reason why they always fucking end up in divorce. Do y'all see, like, it's right there, but it ain't right there. It just takes somebody to see it to be able to point it out. This is their system. You got to understand the war and diplomacy because you got to know who you fighting. You feel me? But this shit longer than the motherfucker. Ain't my bad, yo. I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And I'm going to see y'all all on the next one. No. Am I saying that right? Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables. And our sons. Yeah. And our sons, you have every opportunity. My brothers, they still young if you got them. And if you ain't got them yet, cool. But there's always time to understand these 3 points, the studies. And you can start pouring into him to understand the studies. Study war and diplomacy, the depths of it. Study trade and commerce, the depths of it. Study art and understand that study art and the connection of it being related to science. and showing how it's about being creative with science and understanding, because that's what evolves people. That's what pushes things forward. That's where innovation comes from. And then now you create the cycle where when you create a new innovation, now you have to protect it. That's where you get the war and diplomacy. This new business model that I just made, if y'all are following me on Instagram right now, the business model that I have made is a living. I have reverse engineered I have reverse engineered the way Meta ads runs, the paid ads. I reverse engineered it, and I know how to do it for free. Now I have to go through the war and diplomacy again to get creative with and to protect that art. You feel me? I'm not gonna, like I said, if I decide to teach it, I'm going to have to give you NDAs because I got to protect that. Because I literally shattered the entire reality of having to pay for ads. So much so that it's like I flipped my shit on its head, because where you have motherfuckers that have 40,000, 30,000, 50,000 people, followers, and they only reaching about 10,000, 12,000 people at a time. How am I able with 189 followers to reach 30,000 people a month? I did something right, and do it consistently, and it's constantly growing. You feel me? I figured this shit out. But I mastered that science to create an art with it. This is my business model. You literally cannot replicate my business model, because you have to be me to do it. I made sure of that shit. Like, you literally have to be me to do it. Or have to be so closely parallel to who and what I am that it works for you. But if you can't, it don't work, because you got to be me to do it. But now it goes back into, now I'm at a new level of war and diplomacy, because now when it's time for me to have kids and I got to pass all of these things on to my kids, I have to start off with the art that I have to make sure their art is safe. But I have to teach them the war and diplomacy on how to maintain my shit. Then teach them the trade and commerce to know that when you do this, this is how you make transactions. Because like I said, I built myself into the business model of Instagram. So it's like, it's mutually beneficial for you to push my content. So you have to push my content. Now they do push my content. They push my content far, nigga, because they have to now. I flipped it to where the war of being shadow banned and all of that shit, now you can't shadow ban me. It's bad for business for you to shadow ban me. Now it's good for business when I'm just talking bullshit and it's like there's nothing for you. I'm telling everybody go off site and click them. No. I'm keeping people on your app. I'm doing everything you need the people to do, and you can't shadow ban me no more. And you got to pay me for it. You got to pay me now. You feel me? I flipped this motherfucker, bro. But that ties into everything that I'm saying. When we teach our sons this, how to create this cycle. Now, when they create their art, they can stand on yours and learn from your diplomacy and war. Learn from your trading and commerce, and learn from everything that you are as an artist and scientist to be able to match it with themselves and take it further and continue to loop. So that way poverty stops and freedom begins. But I'm going to go to the end of there because this shit long as fuck. My bad, y'all. I'm sorry. Go kiss your babies. Make sure to eat their vegetables, and I'm going to see y'all all on the next one. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.